brother, did you try that new restaurant down the street?
Yeah, I went there yesterday. Man, the food was off the chain. And the chicken was like, how did he say that? Like, to die for.
Whoa.
To die for?
To die for?
I'm saying, the chicken was good. You know what I'm saying?
Can't you just say the chicken was good? Does it have to be to die for? That sounds a little intimidating.
Did you wear skinny jeans while you were eating the chicken?
Nah, I'm saying, I said it was good, man.
Was it rainbow chicken?
Hold up, man. I said, well,
with a sparkly buckle on it.
Was the server doing a Cindy bounce?
Man, I'm just saying, the chicken was good. Look, man, the chicken was good, no homo.
Nah, it's time is passing.
You're supposed to say it before, man.
I can't say, I just said no homo, though. There's no regulation on when you can say no homo. What are y'all, like a regulatory governing body over no homo or something?
Brothers and sisters, don't get caught up. Don't let the homosexual cultivax pull you in. We are the final front in the war against white sex. Stand strong. This African service announcement has been brought to you by Warner Horizon Radio.
Warner Horizon. You gotta love it.
No.
How you doing, brother? Can I get you one of these?
Sure, what's this about, brother?
We got a situation up in Delaware that's crazy right now, brother. Brothers are being lynched.
Oh, lynched? In 2012?
That's the same exact thing we said when we got the story.
So how'd you hear about it?
That's a good question. You know, there was a professor who was at Delaware State University named Dr. Jaheed Issa. And to make a long story short, he was doing some research and educating the students on how they're trying to destroy and demolish HBCUs.
Oh, I went to Bowie State.
I went to Hampton University, so you know how the students were responding to that. And in the midst of sharing this information with the students, he stumbled upon the fact that they were actually lynching brothers in Dover, Delaware.
Oh. How come I didn't hear about this on CNN?
You didn't hear about it on CNN because it's an election year. Do you know who the state's attorney is for the state of Delaware?
Who would that be?
That would be Bo Biden. Bo Biden is the Vice President Joe Biden's son. So as you can see, this is an extremely political situation.
Understood. So what do you have to do with this?
We represent an organization called Warner Horizon. And what we do is we educate black people to the threat of white supremacy and teach our people how we can prepare for black survival.
No doubt. Much needed. Definitely going to check this out. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you, bro. Be safe out there, all right?
All right. Got it.
Man, oh, here we go again, man. Two gay dudes kissing on the bus. That's what I'm talking about. You gotta be, man, they trying to turn everybody gay. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Nah, brother, I really don't know what you're talking about.
I'm saying, you see the bus, you see how they got the two dudes kissing on the joint. It's like commercials. Everywhere you go, everything gay. Youngers walking around with these little, the faggy fit jeans and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Well, brother, do you have hate in your heart?
What?
Yeah, that's not the Christianly thing to do. We should love our neighbors.
Man, I ain't loving no gay neighbors, Joe. It ain't say you gotta love your gay neighbors. It don't say love your neighbors. It don't say, I ain't talking about neighbors. I'm talking about faggots. So you saying you love faggots?
What I'm saying is, love is the most powerful force in the universe. And Jesus came to show us how we should love our brothers.
Man, you sounding real gay right now, talking about lovers and brothers. Hold on, Joe. Look, if you want to tell me something, just let me know. I might be preaching to the choir, man. I'm saying, the faggots, talking about loving. You know what, man? Forget this, man. I'm going to walk. Peace. Brothers and sisters, sometimes your arms is not long enough to box with spooky in the sky. Spend your time where it's most useful. This is the African service announcement. Warner Horizon. We'll see you on the battlefield. Warner Horizon. You gotta love it.
And God said, come out of her unless ye be judged. And Queen Mother Horse sat upon the throne and glanced upon all she had conquered as the mystery of Babylon lives on. Western civilization, unworthy of the name civilization, but civil, she is not. Draped in gold jewels of abomination.
Warner Horizon presents Ashra Kwesi live in D.C. on May the 11th. The master teacher will present on the African kinetic spiritual system versus Western Freemasonry. This event will take place live at Seekers of Nature, 3923 South Capitol Street, Southwest, in Washington, D.C., 20032. Doors open at 2 p.m. The cost to attend is $20 for adults and $10 for students. For more information, call Ward Horizon at 202-309-9106. That's 202-309-9106. Or call Seekers of Nature at 202-562-0041. That's 202-562-0041. Again, Black family, the Master Teacher, Ashra Kwesi, live in D.C. at Seekers of Nature on May the 11th. War on the Horizon. You gotta love it.
Man, little child, even the Africans who once knew God have now gone wild. We have become queen mother whores, love child. Raw dog eat, raw dog just as the Babylonian. Western Hemispherian.
The sixth dynastic period over 4,000 years ago. But look at him. You see him with the collar and the apron because he was truly the grand master of his time. Now you can understand what George Washington with his left foot forward, the apron and the collar is all coming from you, Brother Mason. Coming from you. But yet you know the secret. Tell me about Nerudadan. Tell me about Imhotep. Tell me about Imhotep number 2. Tell me about May. We had this thousands of years of knowledge, Brother Mason. I don't mean nothing disrespect, but we must open up to who we are unless we stay eternal slaves. Let's go back to the craft of Ra. Let's go back to the grand masters who taught for thousands of years. That's yours.
My ancestors woke me up this morning. They said, son, you do know what time it is, don't you? I said, what time is that? They said it's wartime, so welcome to the war. You on the war front with war on the horizon tonight, and man, oh man, if you plan to do anything other than tune in tonight, you done made a bad decision for all my brothers and sisters out there who plan to be listening tonight. You picked the right time. If you're a first-time listener, we're glad you tuned in. Go ahead and call in now because the lines are going to be lit up. The dial-in number is 760-569-7676. That's 760-569-7676. Participation code 948-656#. That's 948-656#. Brothers and sisters, tonight on War on the Horizon, we're going to have the master teacher, Brother Ashra Kwesi, discussing the African spiritual mystery system versus Western Freemasonry. And this is going to be a conversation you're going to really, really, really appreciate and enjoy. So what I want you to do is I want you to go out there on your Facebook accounts. I want you to get out on your tweets. I want you to call people up and tell them you got to tune in because Brother Ashra Kwesi, the master teacher, is burning up the airwaves tonight on War on the Horizon, Live 365. And, man, this thing is going to be live. So without any further ado, let me tell you, brothers and sisters, I'm bringing you on a warrior, a man who has committed himself. And actually, this is how committed this black man is. Any black man who say, I'm so committed to my race that I'm going to pray to Amen to find me the perfect wife to walk this road with me, and that Amen saw fit to do it, man, we got a special brother because this brother's out there. Give me some sob stories. Well, this brother ain't got no sob story. This brother got a happy story. A brother walking with his queen, educating our people, uplifting African people worldwide. Every year taking hundreds of black people back to our ancestral homeland and showing them the truth of our history and knowledge. And now he's coming to our airwaves tonight because we got a lot of people running around thinking that they got some secret. They got some magical secret and some fancy handshakes. And they got some stuff they don't want to tell somebody else, and they feel like they got some special knowledge. But what our brother here has to tell us tonight is that all of that knowledge that they have or they think they have is all stolen knowledge from Africa. And that's what he's going to bring to our attention tonight. So please tune in now, sit back, lay back. If you got that meal at the table, sit the family at the dinner table. Get your children, your grandparents, your family, sit around. Even if you're in a place where it's cold, start a fire and sit by the fireside because we're going to have a chat with the elder Griot, a warrior tonight, and he's going to bring this truth to us live and direct. So without any further ado, brothers and sisters, it is my honor and our privilege as a War on the Horizon family for me to bring none other than the master teacher, Brother Ashra Kwesi, to our airwaves. Hotep, Baba.
Hotep Warrior, Irritated Genie. Honored to be on your show, War on the Horizon, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know it is a war.
Yes, sir.
Well, I want to first start off by, if you could tell people about your Kemet New Know Thyself tour where you and your wife take brothers and sisters back, just to give them a little foundational for those who are not familiar with what you do.
Well, first of all, yeah, like you said, my Netter Hemp, I, her Netter Hedge, we try to keep that divinity in our unity for us to go forward into eternity. So that's the Kemetic word for divine wife, Netter Hemp, Netter Hedge, divine husband. We do the Kemet New Know Thyself educational tour back to Kemet every summer. And this year is July 13th to the 27th, and we go to Ethiopia in the winter. So we can get an African historical view of what our ancestors laid down from the ancient temples and monuments. And this is based on, in fact, this year will be 33 years, interesting enough, the Masonic of 33. But it'll be 33 years. And I have to give acknowledgement to the Grand Master Teacher, my teacher, Dr. Yosef Inyakinen, who I met back in early 70s at Long Beach State. And Dr. Ben gave a very powerful lecture when I heard him. And I never heard the information that he spoke of in terms of African history and how we ruled the world and had ancient monuments and temples, okay, to validate that. And I asked Dr. Ben after the lecture, can you prove this? He said, young man, I can take you back and show you. So that's the first time someone told me that they can show me. And above all, he said, we need young people like you to go back and do the field research. So that was a dream at that point. And 1981, I made that journey not knowing that I would spend 14 years with Dr. Ben doing field research with him in the land of Kemet that is called Egypt today, as well as the Sudan that our ancestors referred to as Kush, and returning all the way to the foothill, the mountain of the moon, doing the field research. So now it's 33 years, and can't even believe it's 33 years nonstop, and 14 years with the Grandmaster Teacher, Dr. Ben. So we call it the Know Thyself Educational Tour, as our ancestors put above all the temples is a symbol called the Burdett, or the sun disk wings. It symbolizes Know Thyself, and that's our objective and purpose, is to open up that African ancestral genetic memory bank.
All right. So, okay, that's beautiful. So if a person is interested in going on your tour to Kemet, how do they reach you and contact you and find out about that tour?
Well, they can go to the internet. They can go to kemetnu.com, KEMETNU.com. They can print out a brochure, and there we have all the details. And we're an educational program. We're not a looky-loo tour, so you're going to get a whole educational packet from us, our book, to familiarize you with the ancient personalities, and even give you a DVD to give you an overview of the tour even before you get there. So you'll be well equipped, as well as a historical outline. And if you don't have access to the internet, you can call us directly. And that's 214-371-0206. And again, our trip is leaving out this summer at July 13th to July 27th. And so again, this is about taking the longest journey that someone can take. And that's the journey into ourselves. And once we make that journey, we can open up to who we are. And for those who may be in the craft, okay, of the Masonic order, we need to stop having rituals, okay, and do the true travel. And this is the true travel to the northeast corner. And that's where Kemet is, in the northeast corner of Africa, not the Middle East.
Okay, that's beautiful. So let's start right here. Tell us something, because, okay, most of us that are listening to the program that are not into Masonry or whatever, we know that they have this thing called the Masons, and some black people are part of this thing called the Masons, but they can't tell you nothing about it because it's a secret lodge. It's like we used to watch the Flintstones, and they had a little lodge, and they wore the buffalo hats and stuff, and they got fancy handshakes and all this stuff. So what, for the person that doesn't know about the Masonic lodge and the Masonic order, the secret society, in modern context, what is it today? What is a black man who joins the Masons? What is he joining?
Well, when a black man joins Masonry today, he's basically joining the caboose, okay, of white supremacy Masonry.
And what I mean by that is, though, that when one goes into that system, one is practicing rituals based off of European Western Freemasonry, unbeknownst to the black man who will go into Masonry, that many of these spiritual ideas were taken from his ancestors, from our ancestors of the Nile Valley. But, of course, when one comes into Masonry, one is taught Masonry from a European perspective. Okay, and Masonry, when we speak of Masonry, we're speaking of those who have the so-called secret societies. In some cases, they are secret. They're secret. They're kept from us, so Europeans can continue to run the world in secrecy. But, of course, Africans are not a part of that inner circle, so to say, in the running of the world. But we want to get caught up in the whole mystery of the Masonry and not realizing that this came from African people. Most of them practice it from what they've been taught from 1717 tea house in England, or from the European Western world point of view of George Washington. But when we start to talk about the Grand Masters of the Nile Valley, many African Masons know nothing about them, who predate the whole Western Freemasonry by thousands of years. And before we go on, so we can get an understanding that what is the premise, what is this based off of Western Masonry as we know it today? What is it based off of? It's based off of a story of Solomon and Hiram Habib, our story that goes back to around 900 years BCE. Now, even though that's a very early time period when it comes to African people's time period, we can see that the whole idea of Western Freemasonry and Solomon raising up Hiram Habib after he was killed by three men who wanted the secret, of his building and wanted the secret from Hiram Habib. And we get the story that Jabalo, Jabalim, killed Hiram Habib, but it was Solomon who raised him up with the Grand Master's grip of the lion's paw.
And did he come back to life? When you say he raised him up, he came back to life?
Well, this is supposedly what he did. He was able to raise him up with the Grand Master's grip of the lion's paw and trying to raise him back to life, because this man was supposed to have had a lot of great wisdom and the secrecy of Grand Master building. And this is the whole ritual that is around Masonry today, is around Solomon raising him up by the Grand Master's grip of the lion's paw and symbolically trying to bring him back to life. But, of course, if one is only looking at it from that time period or that perspective, then, of course, this is all we know. We have no idea that, in fact, that this whole story of raising one from the Grand Master's grip of the lion's paw is an ancient spiritual story that goes deep into the African Nile Valley. In fact, I say that we're so old as a people, Brother Irritated Genie, that we're an Alzheimer's people almost now, because we have forgotten everything. If we were to go back and see the understanding of raising one from the Grand Master's grip of the lion's paw, that statue is still there, right there in the northeast corner. Which statue is this? Ra Horm Akhet. Now, what is this statue, who the Greeks called the Sphinx? Our ancestors did not call it the Sphinx, they called it Ra Horm Akhet. Now, keep in mind that this is a animal body of a lion and a human head of the king with the Nimbus crown. Every king that came down between the paws of Ra Horm Akhet was symbolically raised by him by the Grand Master's grip of the lion's paw. This is where that ritual came from. Now, how old is this colossal? This colossal has now been dated by some at 8,000 years BCE. Maybe it changed periodically down through the millenniums, but that's over 10,000 years ago. Even though Europeans try to give the time period of the 4th dynasty and trying to align it with the king who built the second pyramid in the Giza Plateau known as Khafra, who the Greeks refer to as Shifrin. But again, that colossal, even if we look at that time period, there's no Europeans yet. There's a stela there, a dream stela there, where Menkaperatu Hudimays IV fell asleep by this massive colossal, 240 feet long and over 65 feet high. And Ra Horm Akhet came to him in a dream and said if he was to dig him from the sand, he would become the next king of Egypt. So he dug him from the sand, and he became the next king of Egypt. That tells us that this colossal was covered in sand, down through the millenniums, because here's the story during the 18th dynasty over 3,000 years ago. Here we see that Menkaperatu Hudimays symbolically is being raised by Horm Akhet, and the stela there showing him symbolically being raised by the Grand Master's grip of the lion's paw of Rahorm Akhet. Now, this ritual even goes back in an early time period, meaning that the death of Asar, when we go back and lay the foundation of ancient Kemet, we've got to understand the spiritual story of ancient Kemet. And that spiritual story was based off of the true spiritual triad, meaning that Asar, Aset, and Aru. That's the earliest spiritual triad that the world has ever known, although it's been corrupted by the Western world, and now we are taught in the deification of the European image, and that is the Serapis Jesus and the white female, the harlot, okay, that they call Mary, okay, that's who she's referred to as in the Bible. And also we see that Joseph and this story of the early triad. But let's go back to ancient Kemet.
But let me just stop you for 1 second because I got a question. Okay, so the triad now, when you're talking about Mary, you're saying Mary and Jesus comes from the ancient story of Asar, Set, and Haru. But what's the Holy Ghost? What is that all about?
Well, again, that's part of the Europeans who are trying to make, taking the living image of a person and making it more or less the Holy Spirit, as they refer to it of. Now, that's a corruption, now, even though we're being detoured into the Christian aspect of this. Okay. But that is a corruption of the Ka, okay, in ancient Egypt. The Ka represents the spirit. It represents two arms up, okay. This is something that the Romans have never understood, okay. So they took the literal, the physical body as resurrecting, but actually it was the spiritual body that our ancestors referred to as the Ka, meaning the spirit. They formed that into the Holy Ghost. Okay.
Understood. Okay.
So this is where the Holy Ghost comes in. But back to that early spiritual triad of ancient Kemet. This is the foundation of the story of Kemet. It's the foundation of the African spiritual mystery system that we refer to as the Shishada system, meaning that here we see in the Zeptepi that we call the first time of creation. Long before Genesis, we see Asar and Aset were created simultaneously. In that creation story, we see evil is also present. Evil is present in the term of his evil brother named Set, who's jealous of him. And here we get the story that he was cut up into 14 pieces. They got 72 conspirators that cut him up. So here we see the killing of Asar. Now, this is where we get the spiritual story that we take groups back that you've equally witnessed on the temple of Aptu, the world's first holy city, where Asar is going to be raised up again, okay, by his wife, okay, Aset. She's going to be impregnated. There's another relief at her temple of Aset. She's going to raise him up with a symbol called the Neter Ankh, which is a symbol of the divine life, okay. She's going to raise her husband back up to life. But in the physical form on earth, it's going to be their son because she's impregnated with a holy child. And through this immaculate conception, her son on earth becomes Haru. So symbolically, okay, Haru is going to raise his father up, okay, from the dead, from his presence on earth, okay, because his father is Asar, his mother is Aset. And through that spiritual union, we see on earth is Haru. That is the purpose of that whole colossal that we see in the Giza Plateau. That colossal represents Haru, the holy child of Asar, okay, and Aset. That is the earliest and first recorded Neter Hemp, divine wife, and Neter Hedge, divine husband, who were created simultaneously, by the way. No misogyny in the African creation story that Aria was taken from Asar to make Aset. And this is the foundation of what Western Freemasonry is based off of with Hiram Habif, okay, and Solomon raising him by the Grand Master's grip of the lion's paw, which is a corruption of the ancient spiritual story of the Nile Valley, that many Masons have no idea who Asar is, who Aset is, even though Albert Pike, who wrote the book called The Morals and Dogmas, which is like the Bible of Western Freemasonry, and by the way, quoting him, Albert Pike said, when the niggas joined the lodge, I'll quit. Well, he should have quit a long time ago because the foundation of the Western Lodge is based off of the ancient African Kemetic knowledge of the Nile Valley. And this is where we see that when Masons of today look at it from its Western sense, okay? And then all the rituals that are in Western Freemasonry is based off of whole rituals of Western Freemasonry. One who goes into the Blue Lodge. The Blue Lodge of Masonry is the 3rd degree. And that 3rd degree is based off of one who's become a Grand Master. Now, keep in mind, this is 33 degrees. 33 degrees is just a few degrees above freezing. The African spiritual knowledge is based off of 360 degrees, okay? That's a complete circle. And on the side of King Tutankhamun Shrine, you see that circle is protected by Uraeus in a complete circle, okay, showing the 360 degrees. So that tells us, so the Western Masonry are telling us through their symbolism, this is how much knowledge that they have is 33 degrees above freezing. And then when we see that the highest position that you can get in the lodge is 33 degrees, which is called the royal secret. And those secrets are based off of the African spiritual mystery system that our ancestors called the Shishata system that goes back to the Nile Valley. Now, one would ask, well, how did this come to the Western world anyway? I mean, how were they able to get all this knowledge? Well, we have to go back. And we have to go back and flip the pages of time here. And we have to go back to the Nile Valley when the early Greeks were coming in. Now, we see that some of the earliest recorded Greeks were called Thales and Pythagoras, who came in and studied a lot of the African Shishata. And when I say Shishata, I'm speaking of the mystery system. When I say mystery, I'm speaking, that's the Greek word for things that the Greeks couldn't understand when they came into Kemet. They could not understand science, okay, the astrophysicists who were studying the cosmos, okay. They couldn't understand how people like Grand Masters like Imhotep, okay, and the stories that were told about how he did surgery and all the medical instruments and all these things. This was a mystery to the Europeans, okay. How you could actually keep a body alive, okay, doing heart surgery and things of this nature that the Kemetic Africans of the Nile Valley were doing. So this is where we get the term mystery, which is the Greek word for mysterion, okay, that our ancestors called the spiritual Shishata system. This is what they refer to it as. So when I say mystery system, this is what we're saying with the Greeks. So this became a mystery to Thales and Pythagoras and all who came and studied. Keep in mind that when Thales and Pythagoras, when they came into Egypt, okay, the pyramids were already there. They were already, okay, hundreds of years old, okay, if not thousands of years old. Ra-Horam Akhet was already there, was already hundreds, if not thousands of years old. The great temples and monuments were already there. They were functioning. These Karihebs, I'm referring to the African priests, okay, they were there, okay. Now, keep in mind, it took 40 years for one to become a Grand Master in the temple. This was one who went into school at 7 years old. They didn't come out until they were 47 years old. That was the process. Now, the stories that we got from the Greeks who came in, I'm specifically speaking of Thales and Pythagoras, excuse me, here they didn't even spend their whole 40 years. I think Pythagoras spent about 22 years in Kemet. Now, but what he got out of Kemet, going back to Greece, this is where he established an order called the Pythagorean order. The Pythagorean order was based off of the sciences that he studied in Egypt. Many of us who going through Western academia, going to universities and systems and so forth, we studied about the Pythagorean theorem and so forth, but they never mentioned where Pythagoras got his theorem from. Okay.
So let me stop you here because I want to make this clear. And this is just a caveat. For all our listeners, we have a anti-N-word policy on the station, so I just want to remind everybody of that.
Oh, when I spoke of Albert Pike.
Oh yeah, no, I
know. Well, I wanted to quote what he said so we could be clear on that.
Right. Okay, when you say the Pythagorean theorem, you saying that when we go in the classroom and we sit down and they say the Pythagorean theorem, you saying that Pythagoras didn't come up with that?
No, Pythagoras did not come up with the Pythagorean theorem. We have papyruses showing the mathematical formula where Pythagoras actually took that from, okay, called the Utmost papyrus, okay, where European came in who did excavations in Kemet, and put his name on it, called the Rhine Mathematical Papyrus. Okay, but this was actually the most mathematical papyrus that even goes back to an early period of the third dynasty of Imhotep. Okay, so these were ancient mathematical papyruses. After all, when you go into Kemet and look at the greatest structures on the planet Earth, like the Great Pyramid, okay, of Akhet Khufu, okay, that the Greeks refer to as Cheops, okay, a very weak name compared to Akhet Khufu. But here you got 7 million tons of masonry, 2,300,000 stones put in exact position, 481 feet in height. Here, the structure and the ingenuity and engineering of putting that structure together, okay, the science of geodesics, okay, building it right in the center of the earth, they still can't figure that out to this day. Okay, the science that went into building that structure. I say all of that because you don't find that structure on the European continent. You don't find it in Greece. You find it where? You find it in the northeastern corner of Africa. This is what the Greeks referred to as when they were crossing the burning sands. What burning sands? They were crossing Zeti. Okay, Zeti, excuse me. Zeti was the ancient name for the Sahara. To get to the sacred knowledge in the northeastern corner. This is how the ritual of when one says that are you a traveling man? This is the code. Okay, when someone asks if you're a Mason. Okay, are you a traveling man? What they're saying, are you one who is a seeker of knowledge? Okay, but they do it ritualistically, okay, in the Masonic Lodge, where they travel from the west room to the east room to the northeast corner, symbolically that they have got the knowledge, when in fact that came out of the rituals, okay, when the Greeks traveled into Africa, okay, to get the knowledge in the northeastern corner of Africa. So when we look at that, the science that it took to build not only that pyramid, but the many pyramids, there are 82 of them, okay, that they've been able to calculate, and sure a lot more than that. Okay, the science that took to build that, clearly we can see that the Pythagorean theorem, okay, did not come from Pythagoras, but he stole it and brought it back to Europe, and now we still deify his name in Western academia. Our children are taught his name, okay. So in effect, they don't see our ancestors actually creating this, but what they do see is through the negativity in referring to Africa as pagans and heathens. So that's why a young man who went to Kemet with us, his father's a physicist, and told him, you don't need to go to Egypt, you need to go to Egypt. That's where Pythagoras' theorem came from Greece. You need to go to Greece. So here his father's a physicist. So this shows the enslavement of the mind, okay, when one doesn't know our story.
No, let me ask you a question. Okay, so wait a minute, because this is foundational. The foundation of algebra, geometry, and all these things is this so-called Pythagorean theorem. That's like the big breakthrough, because once you get that, it's where the whole basis of a pyramid and building infrastructure and all of this kind of stuff. So, when we start talking about the plumb line and all these different things that we know to be related to mathematics and building, and you're saying to us that even though African people created these things, the Europeans have stolen these ideas of learning, of architecture, of mathematics, and put their name on it and sold it to the world as if they created all this stuff.
You're absolutely right. And the worst part about it, in Western academia, we deify ancient African sciences in Europeans' names. Okay.
Well, help us out. Let me ask you a question, just so we can get this one right now. I want you to continue saying what you're going to say. So tell us right here so we can tonight officially change it. We're not going to call it the Pythagorean theorem anymore. Is there an ancestor that would best be suited for us to call it his theorem?
Well, we can go back to the African who built the world's first stone building, the world's first recorded pyramid in the area of Saqqara, known as the Step Pyramid, built by Imhotep. So let's go back to Imhotep. So there are many grand masters that we can draw from. Let's go back to Zezim-Ankh, okay, who actually started to build the world's first true pyramid, getting away from the Step Pyramid, but it collapsed, okay, and then his son, okay, Sneferu, continued to get his grandmaster, where they finally built the world's first true pyramid. And then it led into Akhet Khufu, who already drew from his father, okay, Sneferu, to build the first true pyramid. So we got many grandmasters of the Nile Valley to draw from. But of course, this is not part of Western academia. This is not part of the curriculum, okay, in the Western academia, because it would unlock an African ancestral story deep lying dormant into many Africans to this day. Then we would have a yearning to want to know about knowledge, because it's just like anything else. Knowledge is power. And knowledge would have the same effect as a football or basketball. When a young black man sees that his ancestors did all this, he would want to know. He would want to do math. He would want to do science, okay? He would want to learn how to read, all right? But when you're taught, okay, that this is nothing but Europeans, and then there's a negative history of ourselves, then, of course, you look at it that this is the only people who created all these things and all this science are Europeans. Even though some of the... Oh, God, I'm sorry.
So, okay. Let's say we did understand, or let's say we began to look back at our history and take a love for math and science. Help us understand, why is math and science critical to a people in building a nation and infrastructure?
Well, of course, if we're going to, when you deal with building a nation, you got to have your science. You can't build a nation without those who have the knowledge to build, okay, the scientists. Imagine going into a university today and you don't have any science courses, you don't have any math courses. You can't even imagine going into a university. When you go into Western universities today, you are going into a white supremacy system of education for you to go in there to come out to help build white supremacy. And it's deifying all of them, okay? You learn about Kepler, you learn about Copernicus, you learn about Galileo, you learn about Newton, you learn about all these European scientists, even though many of them, like Newton and Kepler, okay, and Galileo, many of them talked about that Europe got its sciences from the mystery system of ancient Egypt and suppressed many of what those Europeans said. In fact, at one time, Europe didn't want to even deal with the African sacred knowledge of this mystery system. At one time, they would burn you at the stake for even talking about it. Now, this is a time period that we're talking about when the development of the Byzantine Roman Christians are coming on the scene. They saw that there was a competition with knowledge. And the religion that they were bringing, they realized that the African mystery system had solid facts. It came up out of ancient Egypt. So they looked at the African mystery system as a threat. So they would burn people at the stake. We know people historically like Hypatia from Alexandria. We know about Giovanni Bruno, who they burned at the stake, who were teaching the African mystery system. Or they call it the Hermetic mysteries. Okay, the Hermetic was a Greek word that referred back to Tahuti. So this is what Europe went into the White Ages, or should we properly say the Dark Ages, because they shut down the African mystery system. Now, when the Arabs came in 641 A.D. to fight the Byzantine Roman Christians, they are the ones who equally fed off of the mystery system. So this is where we see the Arabs are now taking what the Greeks had already taken and what some of the Romans had already taken. And for those who are now the Byzantine Christian church shutting down the mystery system, the Arabs are taking everything now. This is how the Arabs had the science during that time when they went into Spain and bringing a lot of sciences and re-educating the Europeans at this time.
So now let me ask you this. Is that invasion of the Arabs and them getting this information, does that account for why they have these monumental buildings and these great architect and structures?
Exactly. That's exactly how they came in contact with that. So the point is, now we're looking at, we see that all these vultures, it's like a carcass, okay, it's feeding off of the knowledge of Africa. But the body is lying there. And no one knows is that body that is feeding, okay, Western Europe, feeding the Arabs, where the Arabs are getting the knowledge, developing their religious ideas, and all these things are from. No one has any idea. The masses of the people have no idea where this knowledge is coming from.
So are you saying that the Arabs did not have a formal religion until they came in Africa and created Islam?
Well, they created their religion. They had their religion in 641 A.D. They had Islam when they came in 641 A.D. Okay, but when we talk about the high sciences, okay, the Arabs did not have the high sciences. They got that from the Nile Valley. That's without question. They got that from what the Greeks had taken up out of Egypt and what the Europeans at this time was throwing away. okay, because they saw the African mystery system as a threat. And let's go back to the Alexandria Library. The Alexandria Library is important. Why is it important? Because this is the place where many of the Greeks who first came in, like Aristotle, who Alexander the Barbarian, who our children are equally taught to call the Great, he commissioned Aristotle to go and ransack the great libraries and schools of ancient Kemet, like Irritated, okay, in the great city of Waset, that is now called Luxor today. Also Irritated, okay, that is the temple of Luxor today. Also, we see many other temples like Menefer, and up and down the Nile. They ransacked many of the sacred scrolls. They weren't calling them books at this time, but they were like scrolls. So millions of these scrolls were put in the Alexandria Library. And this is how the Europeans were able to study that ancient African mystery system until Theodosius came on the scene and, as I mentioned earlier, saw it as a threat and ordered the burning of that library. After taking what they felt that they could understand and use, they took that, and much of this is still hidden in the cellar of the Vatican to this very day. The church, the Catholic Church, looked at the mystery system as a threat because it took the African spiritual mystery system, and this is the making of Catholicism. It's based off of many of the spiritual systems of the mystery system.
So then that means that when we look at Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and Western Freemasonry, there's a link between all of them, and we think, trying to figure out the link, and if I'm hearing you correct, the link is that they were all stolen from African spiritual tradition.
They were all stolen from the African mystery Shishada system that goes back thousands of years. That's why when we look at the Shriners, okay, so let's get into some of the Masons now. We look at the Shriners, and how did the Shriners, okay, come to the West? Now, here I am down in Dallas, Texas, okay, and this is a big Scottish Rite town. The layout of Dallas, Texas is all based off of the Saurian resurrection if you understand the architectural structure and understand the spiritual story of ancient Kemet and the architecture. The story is told in symbolism and is kept alive through symbolism if we understand the story. But here you'll see a redneck with a cowboy hat on, with a coat on, that may have the Kaaba on the back of his coat. He may wear a fez that got the name Ramsey on his fez, or got the Nile, okay, or Egyptian on his fez. Now, why they got all of these names, okay? Now, they're tying it to the east, because even though they may tie it to the Kaaba, okay, and even though they may tie it even further back than that to the ancient mystery system, that's why they got Egyptian on their fez and so forth. That is where the Knights Templars, this is another group, during the time of the Crusades, when they were trying to take over Jerusalem and take Jerusalem back from the Arabs, this is how the Knights Templars got introduced also to the African mystery system from the Arabs, okay? When they went back to France, this is where the Knights Templars equally were starting to study the African mystery system until France looked at the Templars as a threat because of their power and killed many of them, and many of them ran off to Scotland. It became the Scottish Rite Order that we see today. So today when we look at the Shriners are tying their knowledge back to ancient Kemet as well as back to Mecca and back to the east because of the Knights Templars who came from Europe during the time of the Crusades. But unfortunately, many brothers who may be a Shriner, even though they may call their order even though they call it the ancient the noble Egyptian Arabic order, okay, of the Shriners, even though the Europeans may call it the Arabic order, but at least the brothers do call it the Egyptian order of the noble of the Shriners that came from the east. But unfortunately, many of the brothers know nothing about the mystery system of the Nile Valley of where it originated from.
Now, let me ask you this: in these mystery systems, since you're linking the math and the science and things of that nature, I'm assuming that when you went for 40 years, you learned agriculture, you learned how to run aqueducts, anything that will be the foundational laying and structuring of a society.
Of a nation itself. Everything in running a nation, that's what you taught. Okay, now keep in mind, every everyone did not finish 20 years, okay, just like in a university today. You had various levels. Take, for instance, a sesh, okay, that would be a scribe. Okay, he may have gone to school for 20 years to learn the Medu-Neter that the Greeks refer to as the hieroglyphics. Mm-hmm. So he may have gone for 20 years. So depending on what level one was at, then you had the artisans, okay, who, when you go back to the temples and you see the art all over the temple, okay, he may have gone for a period of years. But the grandmasters, okay, to become a Kari-Heb, high priest, that took 40 years to finish that completion. They are the ones who actually ran the government. They are the ones who, for the most part, ran the country itself. So it took them 40 years of initiation to complete that whole process.
And can I assume if you were a Kari-Heb priest that you would likely be able to fight, so you could be part of the military, you would likely be able to build a building, perhaps plant crops, perhaps do some type of medicine to help people in healing?
Right, all of those. So keep in mind that a priest was not always necessarily, he may have started off as a warrior, okay? We know like Menkaparat Tahuti Mays, okay? When we look at Menkaparat Tahuti Mays and the third, and we see that he was a priest, okay, before he was a warrior and became a priest in ancient Kemet, okay? So, excuse me, I got it backwards, okay? He was a priest and became a warrior. So here we see that the priest of Amun came in and selected him. So that already tells us that he was already part of the priesthood. So he was selected, and he became the warrior. He became not only a warrior, but he became a Parah, okay, that the European Hebrews refer to as, or European Jews, I can't call them Hebrews, okay, but the European Jews refer to as the Pharaoh, okay, that meant the great house. So he is the one that became a Sultan, or a king who ruled the land. But prior to that, he was a priest who went to school for 40 years. So a lot of these things he knew, and he became a warrior at the same time.
So you could do botany, you could do medicine. So you became a well-rounded man or woman who, were any women allowed in, or was just strictly for men?
Oh yeah, no. It's not like the European Western world, okay, with the misogyny they have. There were also women priestesses, okay, and they were identified as the Neterhemps of Amun, okay, or the divine wife of Amun. So they were dedicated to the spiritual god Amun of Waset of ancient Kemet. So that definitely was a priesthood involved, a priestess hood involved in that whole ceremonial process as well.
And so when you were going to learn, the purpose of you learning was to be able to help manage a society and a nation on a practical level. You learned multitude of skills across different areas to be able to master a multitude of things in society.
Exactly, to become a Grand Master of 40 years. And so keep in mind that there were various, degrees of level that one, studied in. But to become a Grand Master, you learned everything there was to know, okay, about running a nation. So again, it's like Western academia today. We don't go into European universities today to learn how to run an African nation. We go into European schools to learn how to run white supremacy. Okay, so we have to keep it real. They don't teach you, well, this is how we're going to teach you how to free yourself. They teach you how to do a job for them. And so that's how our whole thinking, it comes out of, to this very day. So in effect, we come from physical slaves to mental slaves, because if you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the slave system that enslaved our ancestors.
So today, and I'm sure there's some different, there's one or two examples where this might not apply, but in general, across the world, black people do not have a system similar to what we had during the time of ancient Kemet, where we are socialized to learn the order of how to rule governments from an African authentic perspective.
We don't have that on the surface. Keep in mind that we may have underground secret orders, okay, that may exist, okay, trying to maintain when it's time for that order to come up. But on the surface, that does not exist because of the invasions that came in, and the many invasions that destroyed the great African spiritual mystery system that all others have benefited from, that became part of the Western world Masonic system that we see in the Western world today.
So when a black person joins a Mason, he's joining in the ritualistic practice of maintaining white supremacy.
Exactly. That's what I said, that we become the caboose. Okay, keep in mind, we're not the engine running this. Okay, we become the caboose of white supremacy Masonic order. We become the caboose of European Christianity. We become the caboose of European Judaism. We become the caboose of whatever they do. We don't take the engine or try to take over the engine and run it ourselves, and nor do we try to investigate where all of this came from in the first place. So when a black Mason goes into the order, just like when one goes into the European Western Church, he has to pray to a white Jesus. Is that correct? That's the whole setting. Even though he might try to say he's black in his mind, but he's still white in his heart. Okay, because of the thorough indoctrination of spiritual enslavement. So just like the Mason, his image of the architect of the universe, okay, is a white God coming out of the sun. You got this old white male, okay, who's got a compass, okay. Compass is one of the symbols of Western Freemasonry, okay, it means to spiritually circumscribe your circumference. So here, his circumference is being circumscribed by a white supremacy Masonic God, okay. So here he is deifying a white God. So this is the same process. That's why we say he who circumscribes your circumference determines the diameter of your thinking. So his thinking is still within a diameter of white supremacy Masonry.
But isn't that white guy coming out of the sun, isn't that the original architect of the universe?
No, that is not the original architect of the universe. We have to go back to let's go back to the earliest recording idea of the architect God of the universe. We have to go back to Kemet again. That's where it started at. Did it start with this white God of coming out the sun? No, it did not start with this white God coming out the sun. The earliest recorded of a spiritual God, okay, of the architect of the universe is called Ptah. Here we see Ptah is known as the architect God of the universe. This is where Western white Freemasonry got it from. Here is Ptah creating the universe. This is told on the Shabaka stone, called the Shabaka stone because it was already old, okay, when the Kushite African Shabaka, the 25th dynasty, around 700 years BCE, it was already old to him, telling of Ptah, okay, who's creating the universe. So here's the idea of the architect God of the universe, by the way, who's jet black on all of the paintings. So again, African people's spirituality and the deification of our own image of God was always in our image. So again, there was not no spiritual enslavement, but this is where the whole idea of the architect God of the universe came from. In fact, we can even say the earliest idea of a God in human form came from, and then we have to go back into the African spiritual mystery system to show, did it originate in Kemet? No. The African spiritual mystery system started in Inner Africa. That's where it started from. It started from Mutnechet, Mother Nature, observing the natural forces of nature. This became the spiritual system that took thousands of years for our ancestors to develop, that reached its zenith right there in Kemet and told on the stories and the books in stone, referring to the books in stone, we're referring to the temples, as the story was told over and over again about the natural forces that our ancestors observed, connecting terrestrial, meaning earthly, and celestial, okay? Here, by connecting these two forces, this is how our ancestors were able to build temples and structures that mapped out, in some cases, various positions of the stars of the universe. This is how deep African people's mind were at one point. When we look at that colossal that I started with, Ra-Horm Akhet, where he raised one with the Grand Master's grip of the lion's paw, corresponds with the constellation of the Leo the lion, that symbolically goes back to the constellation of Orion. Symbolically, he's going back to his father. So this is the deep knowledge. So when people do not have knowledge, you become self-destructive. So what we see today in many of our young black brothers today, we see a void of self, a void of knowledge. Nothing is there. And we feel that we have done nothing, so one becomes self-destructive. But when you start to see the power of the knowledge and unlock that sacred knowledge in our genetic memory bank, this is what starts the power of building a nation.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now let me let me ask this question, because we got about 5 more minutes, and then we want to go to our phone line because the board is lit up with people that have some questions for you. But I want to ask you this, and I know I can ask you because, quite frankly, brothers and sisters, I know a lot of people really appreciate and love the work that War on the Horizon is doing. But let me just tell everybody out there, I'll say it on the radio and just be 100% honest. The foundation for the way that we educate our people on the crisis situations that confront black people and the particular issues that we address and tackle, to a large degree, the prototype for the process we use and a lot of the points that we make were information that I got from Baba Kwesi. I'm just being 100% honest. In fact, there's one single piece of documentation that's been more important to me personally in terms of developing an understanding of white supremacy, what it is and how it works, in particular as it relates to the feminization of African people and to the homosexual, licentious, sexual deviant nature of the European and how that is part of their construct. And that video is the second part of Brother Kwesi's Christianity video. It's called How the Enemy Became the Deity. And I would suggest for everybody out there, I mean, all of his stuff is fantastic, but if you like the War on the Horizon information, if you like that, I would really tell you to go to kemetnu, KEMETNU.com, and purchase Christianity, the Stolen Religion from Africa, Part 1 and Part 2. Because you need Part 1 to walk into Part 2. But when you get to Part 2, how the enemy became the deity, in there you will see you'll be able to identify. That's the foundational video for the genocide lectures we've done, for the feminization lectures, for predators in our midst. It's the place where those key ingredients to understand, man, this is what's happening to our people came. And once that came, we were able to do more in-depth research on those particular aspects. Here's my question to you, Baba. Recently, people have been coming out talking about that Freemasonry has a bunch of homosexual stuff going on in it. My questions are 2. 1, is it true that this Western Freemasonry got a bunch of gay stuff going on in it? And 2, did that gay stuff come from the African Kemetic spiritual system, or is that, if it is true, that that's some white stuff that they added on for themselves?
It did not come from the African spiritual system of the Nile Valley, because the African spiritual system of the Nile Valley, the foundation was based off of Ma'at. Ma'at based off of the spiritual dialectical laws of opposites. And the basis and foundation and the symbol that was used for the spiritual dialectical laws of opposites is the scale of Ma'at. This is the scale of Ma'at that our ancestors saw that balance. A Sar and a Set represented the spiritual dialectical laws of opposites. In fact, in the African spiritual system, our ancestors said you cannot be a god without a goddess, and it cannot be a goddess without a god. In the Western world, we don't see that spiritual balance in the creation. All we see is the misogyny of this male god in heaven. And even though it says, let us make man in our own image. I've been questioning this us in the first place. So here they kick the whole, the goddess out in the creation, and now we see the whole deification of the male gender now. No, so we did not have the whole homosexuality that I refer to as faggotitis. Okay, we did not have, it was based, you cannot see the king without the queen. You cannot see the queen without the king. This is the whole foundation that we see in the whole African spiritual mystery system. And to look at the African spiritual mystery system, everything is based off of opposites. And that whole diagram of the mystery system based off of the Patata Tenon. What is the Patata Tenon? The pyramid itself. The pyramid itself is based off of the rising heel, representing air, earth, fire, and water, hot, cold, wet, and dry. That is life itself. Without those spiritual dialectical laws of opposites, you do not have life, you have chaos. Chaos in the Kemetic spiritual teaching was based off of Isfet, evil. So when you go against the spiritual dialectical laws of opposites, you're creating evil. So when you look at Western Freemasonry, they tell on who they are and what they are when you look at the Baphomet. The Baphomet is an upside-down star, generally the symbol of the devil in Masonry that they created that came out of the Knights Templars. The Baphomet is a homosexual god. The Baphomet represents a transvestite type character. When you look at the Baphomet, you got breasts, he's like a male. So that's all part of the decadence and the warped behavior that the Europeans have not been able to relate to in the spiritual dialectical laws of opposites. In fact, when you look at the Order of the Eastern Star, that star is upside down. That is the corruption of Western Freemasonry of the goddess Set through their own misogyny. You don't see that star upside down on Set's head. That star is upright. But because of their misogyny towards the female, here this was the creation of the Baphomet by turning it upside down. This is what we have to look at when we look at the spiritual system of ancient Kemet. So a lot of people who don't study Kemet and just look at Western Freemasonry, and in some cases even pair it with some of these white fools like Ralph Epperson, who are trying to get people back into Christianity, and the demonizing of the African spiritual mystery system and then tying it and associating it with Western Freemasonry. They took the African spiritual system and corrupted it, just like they took spiritual ideas from the mystery system and the creation of Western version of Christianity and Judaism as well, and corrupted it. And we only see it from the Western corruption, but not from the spiritual ideas where they got it from. So today we have all this idea in Western Freemasonry of the Illuminati and young people running around talking about the Illuminati, this German, who created it, in Germany, named Adam Weishaupt, who called the Illuminati the Sons of Light, Now where is he getting this from? He's taking this from the Kari-Habs. He's taking this from the African spiritual mystery system and the corruption and the creation of the Illuminati order. And the Illuminati order is part of that whole order of Novus Seclorum Ordo that we see on the dollar bill. That means New World Order, another secret society in order to take over the world. And which they're fighting among themselves. They've been doing that anyway in white supremacy, so don't think it's just one order that's going to take over the world. This is part of his order that he was creating to create a whole one world government and the whole Illuminati. So, of course, if you don't know anything about the Sons of Light at ancient Kemet, and then you read about Adam Weishaupt, and you read about how he was creating the order called the Sons of Light, where they were studying the African spiritual system by way of the Gnostics. So if anyone's familiar with a Masonic symbol, and you see that G in the middle that some refer to as the God or geometry, actually it means the Gnostics, because this is how, again, Europe was able to study the mystery system. Keep in mind, the mystery system is thousands of years old here, Europe was not even in existence when our ancestors were into the deep spiritual science and creating the African Shishata system. So, of course, when we start to parrot Western Freemasonry and their Baphomet evil, that they have created, which I refer to them as the Tamahu Baphomets, or the White Devils, to be clear on this. This is all part of the corruption. So today we see young people out here talking about the Illuminati and the all-seeing eye and so forth. This is all part of the corruption of the third eye that our ancestors referred to it as, whereas Adam Weishaupt looked at it as the light of knowledge, to take over the world, where our ancestors saw it the light of knowledge and the opening of the pineal gland, which they referred to as the spiritual eye. And that was activated. Okay, brother. Mm-hmm.
So, because I remember you mentioned before, and then after you answer this, we're going to go to a brief break, and then we're going to come back and go to our phone line. But is this the reason that you said that the ancestors would not allow the Europeans in, because they thought that if they got this information, or they knew that if they got this powerful information, that they would not use it to build civilization, but rather they would use it for destruction?
Exactly right. Because they saw keep in mind, this is at a much later period when the Greeks are coming in now. When the Greeks are coming in, and they saw that these were barbarians. When they were, that they were related. When they saw them, they didn't see them on any type of spiritual level whatsoever. They didn't understand the spiritual laws of opposites that our ancestors referred to as in the mystery system. They didn't understand the whole science, okay, of Mother Nature, which was that balance. Now, even today, we see the whole environmental problem today is due to the fact that they paid no respect to the hierarchy of elemental forces that our ancestors saw as that divine force communicating to us, keeping us on a spiritual balance. So you're absolutely right.
So with our ancestors, is it fair to say and reasonable to say that our ancestors were appalled at the homosexual, pedophilic, bestial nature of the European?
Well, they definitely saw this as Isfet. Okay, they definitely saw this as evil, this bestiality of the European. And definitely could not let them into the spiritual and sacred places when they saw the behavior of the Europeans and dealing with them on the bestiality that they were on. So this is something that we see that's going on today. What we see going on today is the nature of who they are coming out of them, who want now the whole world to be a part of it and perpetuating it on the whole world. Okay. And through the whole order of their whole secret societies, whether that be the CFR, the Council of Foreign Relations, whether that be the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, that you get cut off funds if you don't accept homosexuality in some countries, especially in Africa, that they're pushing on Africa now. Okay, you demoralize the culture, you demoralize the people, and then you can create your world order.
Wow. Well, on that, Brother Baba, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come back and go to our phone lines, all right?
All right, my brother.
All right. We here, brothers and sisters, with the master teacher, Ashra Kwesi, dropping bombs. I know y'all are lined up. I mean, we can see we got more calls than we can count, and we're going to try to get to them. Tonight, we're going to ask people to make a sharp question so that we can get an answer, because we got a lot of people online, so I'm not going to give people as much time as we normally give, because Baba can't stay on for 3 or 4 hours like we like to do. But we definitely want you to call in, 760-569-7676. One question tonight, if you can. Just one question. The participation code, 948-656-pound. Again, that's 760-569-7676, 948-656-pound. Want to let people know about 2 events, particularly this Saturday, May 11th, 2013. The master teacher, Ashra Kwesi, will be in town doing his live DVD presentation, The African Kemetic Mystery Spiritual System versus Western Freemasonry. Again, that'll be this Saturday at 2 p.m. at Secrets of Nature. It'll be $20 for adults, $10 for all students. Doors will open at 2 p.m., so get there on time, brothers and sisters. If you want to call, it's 202-309-9106, or you can call Secrets of Nature directly at 202-562-0041. Also want to let you know, May 25th, we're going to be having, May 18th, we're going to be having a whole War on the Horizon presentation with Sister Lady Shabazz doing her book signing. War on the Horizon going to be doing 2 lectures in the D. That's right, we're going to get dirty, down dirty in the D, Detroit, where the brothers and sisters like to do it the hard way. So we're going to be there May 18th, 2013. Also, United Front is going to be there performing live. So we're going to have United Front, the Irritated Genie doing the feminization of the black male, and Mind Your Black Business. And we're going to have our sister, Lady Shabazz, Angela Freeman, doing her book signings on all 3 of her books, God's Gift, How to Be a Good Black Woman to a Strong Black Man, The Conscious Book of ABCs, and Conscious Entertaining. And that's going to be at Nandy's Knowledge Cafe, 12511 Woodward Avenue, Highland Park, Michigan, 48203. That's Nandy's, Nandis, Knowledge Cafe, 12511 Woodward Avenue, Highland Park, Michigan, 48203. So you want to come on out there. It's free of charge. May 18th, it'll be starting at 2 p.m., so you don't want to miss it. You can always go to our website and go to our events page and see that. And lastly, we want to tell people about, we're going to be in Philadelphia for those up north. We're going to be in Philadelphia May 25th, starting at 4 p.m. We're going to be at the Songhai Cultural Center, 3117 West Master Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19107. Again, that's the Songhai City Cultural Center, 3117 West Master Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19107. It's going to be sponsored by the Time for an Awakening and the Legacy of a Nation organizations. Will be starting at 4 p.m. For more ticket information, you can call, or we'll be doing Where's Your Black God? So you want to come out and hear that. It's going to be a fantastic lecture. discussion. You're going to enjoy it. It'll be starting at 4 p.m. Call 267-205-1570. That's 267-205-1570 or 215-236-7410. That's 215-236-7410. So we want everybody to, wherever you are, be checking us out because we're going to be traveling around the country. And this weekend, we definitely want you to hear from the master teacher live right here in Washington, D.C. So come on out to Secrets of Nature. We're going to play a few commercials, and then we're going to come right back to the phone line. So get ready, call up, and let's get ready to talk and ask the master teacher these questions so he can give us these wisdom.
And God said, come out of her, unless ye be judged. And Queen Mother Horse sat upon the throne and glanced upon all she had conquered as the mystery of Babylon lived on. Western civilization, unworthy of the name civilization, but civil, she is not. Draped in gold jewels of abomination.
War on the Horizon presents Ashra Kwesi live in D.C. on May the 11th. The master teacher will present on the African kinetic spiritual system versus Western Freemasonry. This event will take place live at Secrets of Nature, 3923 South Capitol Street Southwest in Washington, D.C., 20032. Doors open at 2 p.m. The cost to attend is $20 for adults and $10 for students. For more information, call War Horizon at 202-309-9106. That's 202-309-9106. Or call Secrets of Nature at 202-562-0041. That's 202-562-0041. Again, Black family, the master teacher, Ashra Kwesi, live in D.C. at Secrets of Nature on May the 11th. War on the Horizon. You gotta love it.
Man, labor child. Even the Africans who once knew God have now gone wild. We have become Queen Mother Horse, love child. Roll dog, eat roll dog, just as the Babylonian. Say a prayer over me and my soul is in. Ask God to forgive me for my sins. Sort of like a star in the set, the rule back in Egypt. Would I return as a mythical leader? Would the rebels die with me in the name of freedom? Trapped in the bowels of this barbaric region. Gotta fight until the children stop killing one another. Cops killing bunches of us. That's enough of us. Men with the single mothers, brothers. Single mothers. Let the men raise warriors. Jettison the fear, we will bear casualties of war. If we don't fight, there'll be easy more. There'll be dark nights when you might lose a husband, might lose a son. It's a sacrifice for black life.
All right. We back with the master teacher live on War on the Horizon. Are you there, master teacher?
I'm here, my brother.
All right. Well, we're going to go to our phone lines if you don't mind.
Oh, yes, we can go.
All right. Let's go here. 2874, you live with the master teacher on War on the Horizon. 2874, going once, going twice. All right, they're just listening. All right, 2569, you live with the master teacher on War on the Horizon.
Habibi Kohodier, Hotep, family.
Yep, Hotep, my brother. How you feeling?
All right. This is Coochie Chagalia out of Tampa, Baba.
Coochie Chagalia, dude. Down on the Miami side.
Tampa side.
Oh, Tampa. Okay. Oh, Coochie Chagalia, right. Okay, right. I got you now, brother. I got you already on now. Right. How you been, brother?
Sir. I'm well. How about yourself?
Great. How's brother Hassan?
He's doing well. Can't wait for February to get everybody in. But I'm going to be short because I don't want to hold everybody up. Baba, my question is, what is the meaning of your name and your Netter Pimp's name?
Yes, my name, Ashra. Ashra means rise like Ra, okay? And Kwesi is Ghanaian, Ghana, okay? It means one who's born on Friday. One who's born on Sunday, even though I was born on Friday. But, You know, when you need an African name so bad, brother, you don't deal with all the logistics of it.
Yes, sir.
And,
yes, sir.
and Mary Ra means love by Ra.
Love by Ra. Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. It's good to hear from you, too, Brother Kucha Chagalia.
It's always good to hear from you, and it's good to hear you in good spirits and well, because we know you're going to get information out to the people because we need it. Right.
And I know we're, conducting some things over the radio, but I think I was supposed to give you something last time I was there, right?
No. Usually when we ride, the conversations and everything are pretty much better than anything we get online anyways.
Uh-huh.
So, there's nothing that we need to exchange. It's always just, a great experience when you and your wife come in. We love it.
Well, if you give me a chance, you can give me a call. So, I can hit you up with something.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's good to hear from you, little brother.
Yes, sir. Be before Hodie.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir,
What's
brother.
up?
And we look forward to seeing you sometime soon, too, brother. You stay strong and keep teaching them young people.
Appreciate it. We will.
Yes, sir. All right. They got a home school there teaching our children down in Tampa, so they're getting a true education. And we know they dropping that the Kwesi. If you ain't got, I can say, if you ain't got that Kwesi, you crazy, man. 49.
Sometimes when I'm giving this knowledge, they try to line that name with crazy.
They crazy if they try to fight it, because it's the truth. 4938, you live with the master teacher. 4938, going once, going twice. All right. Detroit.
Peace. How you brothers doing?
Great, sister. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Baba, this is our station manager, Lady Shabazz.
Oh, good to hear from you, sister.
You too. Oh, I got a title now. I'm liking it. Not going to hold up the line. Just wanted to ask a question really quickly about the trips that you take over to Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, is there any vaccinations that are mandatory, like yellow fever or anything like that?
Not for Egypt. That's mainly for tropical areas. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when are you going to start?
You don't need any malaria pills or anything like that for Egypt. No shots.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And when are you going to start planning for your 2014 trip?
Actually, we start that in October. We actually have the brochures maybe about late October. And, if one wishes to have a payment plan, you can start paying on it in late October as soon as we have those brochures ready. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and you can actually email us and email us your email, and we'll make sure we send you the brochure when it's ready. We send it right to you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Thank you, sister.
All right. Could you tell us real quick what your program's going to be about tomorrow night?
Yes, sir. Tomorrow we're going to be covering domestic violence, but we're not going to be coming from an Oprah kind of perspective. We're going to be talking about men abusing women, women abusing men, how we can control our anger, and when to leave.
Fantastic. Well, we love you, sis, and we will definitely be looking forward to seeing you up there on May 18th, and we'll see you on the battlefield, and we'll be listening to you tomorrow night.
Yes, sir. I'm excited about that. Love y'all, too, and see you soon.
All right.
Yeah, white supremacy, make a black man angry. Instead of going beating up white supremacy, go be up his neck to him.
That's right. 9763.
BB48. BB48.
How you doing, brother?
Yes.
I'm doing well. This brother born up here in New Haven. Brother, I got one question, and it's also a question about the trip. I'm in a wheelchair right now, so I was just wondering what type of, what things will be accessible with the either manual or electric wheelchair. Because I'm trying, I'm striving to get out there. So I just wanted to know, from somebody who already been there, what kind of access I might have.
Right, I understand. Yes, my brother. Unfortunately, of course, that's in Kemet. It's in Egypt, as we call it today, and they don't have a lot of the.
1 second, Baba. You turn down your radio.
All right.
Okay. They don't have a lot of the accessibility, in terms of moving around in a wheelchair. At this point, we've had people come in walkers, and in fact, we even had a couple of people who were blind. They did okay. But I can say that they don't have a lot of the accommodations that you would need for a wheelchair. especially getting on and off the buses and things of that nature.
All right. Well, that's
they can have those in the future, but as of now, they don't have those things.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I'll still be listening on the line, and I can get the information from you secondhand. Then I don't mind.
Okay, my brother.
All right,
we do look forward for your spirit to being with us as well. In spirit as well as actually coming with us, one day.
Well, yes, sir. Thank you very much. It will. My spirit going with you everywhere you got to go. Then my spirit going too. All right.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you for the work that y'all doing. BB4 ODA.
Yes, sir. Beautiful hearing from you, brother. Stay strong up there. Keep soldiering. All right. 5067. You live on War on the Horizon with the Master Teacher.
Hotel brothers, how y'all doing?
Oh, we're doing great, my brother. How you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. This brother take a minute. I'm so glad to meet you. I'm so glad to hear from you, Barbara. I've been following your work for so long. I'm proud of everything you're doing, brother.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you for your support. It's people like you to help us it's people like you to keep us moving forward.
And Baba Kwesi, this young man is actually a college student at Jackson. Am I right? Jackson State, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. All right. One of those warrior students, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. That's what we need, brother. That's what we come out of. We can't lose that warrior spirit.
Yes, sir. Trying to be like you, Baba.
All right, my brother. All right. Well, we just go back and pull it up and raise ourselves up to 360 degrees to the living perpendicular with the left leg forward to trample down white supremacy, and then we can go forward.
Yes, sir.
Then you got a question or comment, brother?
Oh, yes, sir. I did have one question. Besides yourself, who do you think is keep upholding and doing the best job of continuing tradition of our committed ancestors spiritually? Do you think? I heard some people say the Coptic Church is doing it.
It's keeping the spirit alive. You're saying? Is that what you said? That was the question?
Yes, sir. Like the spirituality that is heard and everything.
Right. I see. Well, it's actually tied up in a lot of stuff in the Western world. Like I said before earlier, if we had some keys to the cellar of the Vatican, we would find a lot of the scrolls that they took out of the what they referred to as the Alexandria Library, the scrolls that they stole out of the ancient temples. Okay, so you find a lot of ideas. Okay, in white supremacy Christianity, but of course, if you don't know the original story, then we take it all.
I'm sorry, Baba. He was asking you, like, what group other than yourself do you think, as a black group, I think he was talking about, like, what black group do you think is best maintaining that kind of order that our ancestors were doing? Okay,
well, keep in mind that when we say the order that our ancestors were doing, we have to go. We can't say that there's any one group or groups that's keeping exactly alive what they were doing, okay? Because keep in mind what they were doing 3,000 years ago, a lot of those spiritual ideas, okay, have been lost, okay? And for me to say that, but we can see, but once we start studying it, okay, and studying the spiritual ideas, then we can start to see where it is, okay, and how, to interpret it, many of the symbols and signs and all these types of things that are around us. So what we've got to do is do what we're doing right now, okay? What Kemet Nu have been doing for years, what War on the Horizon is doing, what PKV is doing, with many other organizations, okay? As long as we're fighting for the liberation of our people. And it's through that liberation that we start to open up our mind, okay? We start to work together, okay, and pool the resources together. Keep in mind, this is not a one-man operation nor a one-organization operation. It takes the whole unity of the people, okay, to raise up. And that's what we've got to do. So this is a communiversity, as Bobby Wright would call it, what we're doing right now. We're dissemination of information for liberation. You have something. We all have something. And once we start to direct that knowledge, okay, to our ancestral story, then we can start to build on that, like all others have built on it, like the whole Western white supremacy world have built on ancient African knowledge, although corrupted, okay. and desecrated in his spiritual ideas. But, of course, if everybody else have benefited from it, then we've got to go beyond this world that we know and go back and start to pull together our spiritual ideas. We would like to have exactly what they had 3,000 years ago, but, of course, we may not be able to pull exactly what they had, but we can at least keep it on a spiritual balance for liberation.
Did you get is that a good answer for you, brother?
That's 100% correct. That's exactly what I was looking for. And I appreciate the Bible for taking out the time to answer that.
Yes, sir.
No, thank you, my brother. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
all right, you stay
like
strong.
The old African proverb says, each one teach one.
Yes, sir.
But teaching our story.
That's right. All right, brother. We'll be talking to you soon. We'll see you on the battlefield.
I'll be before then.
All right.
Yep.
1884, you live on War on the Horizon. 1884. Going once, going twice. All right, they're just listening. 9851, you live on War on the Horizon.
Well, I think in the lecture that we're going to do on Saturday, we're going to come with the PowerPoint visual documentation. I know some of the things that we discussed in Masonry. We just talked about some of the surface things, Brother Irritated Genie. But we're going to come with visual documentation and follow a chronology, because one of the things that we've lost as a people is a chronology of time. Most of our time has been locked in the white supremacy time. Most of us, when we define history or we define religion, we define it from a European's time period. So a lot of things that I'm talking about, like the African Shishata or the mystery system, of course, many people, have never heard this before. So, through many years of research, I'm coming with the visual documentation so we can follow along. And many things that I'm going to show, many people are already familiar with. They're familiar with it through the symbolism, but they don't know the symbols that came from our African ancestors. Even if we deal with something as basic as passing around money, like the dollar bill. Okay, why is it that George Washington, and when they had these three committees trying to figure out what symbols to put on the dollar bill, and Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin and John Adams, when they were putting it together, originally they had on the dollar bill was the corrupt story, okay, that they took up out of Kemet. They had Moses parting the Red Sea, okay, and the slaves leaving out of Egypt, okay, even though there's no such story ever existed in the Nile Valley. But the Hyksos who invaded Egypt until Neb-Petty-Rod-Most I, a real person who kicked them out, okay, who opened up the 18th dynasty. That's the only story of a large group of people being expelled out of Egypt. But the point is, going back to that first committee, when they were establishing the seal for and the symbols for the dollar bill, well, George Washington didn't want that because the symbolism of slaves, okay, escaping from Egypt and realizing that here our ancestors were slaves in America, they felt that there might be the old story, what goes around comes around.
Right.
So they didn't want that seal to be on the dollar bill, even as I said before, there's no biblical account of that story. So they had a second committee, and the second committee is a man by the name of Florence Hopkinson. And Florence Hopkinson, he is the one that actually used in the colonial bill, okay, of the pyramid with no capstone. And then it was Roosevelt in 1932 that decided to put the pyramid, okay, and the capstone in the all-seeing eye, okay, on the dollar bill, which is based off of the capstones that was in Kemet. When you see the burdette, and those, you traveled in the Cairo Museum, and I pointed out the burdette, the all-seeing eye, even though it has two eyes, okay, the left eye of Tahuti and the right eye of Ra, the sun, but the same idea was to open up the mind. So they took that symbol to represent the eye on top of that dollar bill that we see today. Florence Hopkinson also used the colors red, white, and blue for the flag. Now, again, for many brothers and sisters who travel to Kemet with us, and we go to Medina Habu, and many question these massive columns, okay? We're talking about over 69 feet high, and many people see, well, why is the red, white, and blue at the top of those columns? Well, again, it goes back to the African spiritual Shishata system, based off of the mystery system of the helical rising of the star Sebel-Siptah, okay, that the Romans called Ceres and the Greeks called Sothis. Now, why was that star so important to our ancestors? Okay, what was it based off of? What was the spiritual mystery system around? It was based off of a set. That star personified her. It symbolized her teardrop that caused the flooding of the Nile. and it told our ancestors that, their spiritual mother, Aset, was going to come back. As that star rose, Orion rose. Now, keep in mind, when they looked out to the meridian, as the star first appeared on the meridian, it turned red, and then as it got higher, it turned white and then blue. This is the reason why Florence Hopkinson, who was taking from the African spiritual mystery system and the making of the red, white, and blue, for the flag of America, that is still right there in Washington, D.C., Albert Pike's Masonic Lodge, the Scottish Rite Building, and their Holies of Holies in Ankh-Manu. They got the red, white, and blue with, even though they got the Greek name Osiris and Isis, that our ancestors referred to as Asar and Aset, but they got it as red, white, and blue. So again, we're talking about some deep spiritual knowledge that African people created that's been corrupted. Now, that doesn't mean that we run around and wave the American flag and say it's Kemetic, I'm just showing how Francis Hopkinson, who knew about the African mystery system, who designed that based off of what we see in the columns, as well as some of the stellas that were white and blue.
You got like a load of calls, and I know people want to...
They weren't responding, so I figured to talk.
No. It's not that they're not responding. Like, we might have like 40 calls, but like 10 of them might be in home with their family, so they might not want to make a comment.
Oh, I see. Okay, we can open it up now. Okay. All
right, let me go in here.
Don't lag. We got to keep it moving.
I know. Yeah, you see what? Look. If y'all come in here slow, Bob is just gonna start going ahead and breaking it down. So that's it. Don't come in here sleepy and slow. Come in strong. 3556. You live on Warner Horizon. 3556. Going once. Going twice. 3556. All right. We got a caller from Skype. You live on Warner Horizon. Caller from Skype. Going once, going twice. All right. They just listening. 2387. You live on Warner Horizon. 2387.
Just listening.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. All right. 6217. You live on Warner Horizon with the Master Teacher. 6217. All right, you got a lot of people listening, Bob. Sister Lisa in the house. How you doing, sister?
Okay, 48. Baba Kwesi and Brother Genie. It's Lisa from Philadelphia.
How you doing, sister?
I'm doing blacktastic.
Blacktastic. That's great. That's a great way to put it. Blacktastic.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the program about the Masons. I just charted up to be another fraternity that these people want to belong to, and I just want to emphasize to the people, I guess, who are part of it to understand what it's about. And we are always searching for something to belong to, and not owning our own culture. Not finding out the truth behind what we belong to, like these Greek organizations, and the Masons has become, to me, another a grown-up fraternity. That's what I refer to it as. And also, I appreciate Mama Kwesi and yourself, because it wasn't until my first venture to Kemet in 2006 that I really understand the reality of, how great we are. And, it's like you always say, what makes, their story better than ours, and it's right here in stone. So those who have the opportunity to do the trip to Kemet through Kemet New tours, I believe that is a trip that it would be a lifetime, that you'll never forget. And I appreciate, Baba Kwesi, and I will see you on Saturday.
Oh, thank you, my sister. Good to hear from you, too. Yeah, like I said, life is a great experience, and going back to the world's first Tanetter land, and that's what it is, the world's first originally holy land, that's a great part of it. Most of us think of holy lands and holy places as being outside of Africa. In fact, we know more about a European history, an Asian history, but we know nothing about an African history, and everything related to Africa is always external to Africa. They don't deal with the fact that without Africa, and many of the great monuments and temples and the spiritual mystery system that we've been discussing, what we know of the Western world, or Asiatic world, would not even exist. So again, we've got to go back for an eyewitness account. And this is the original tenet and holy place to go, not to Jerusalem and not to all these other places that we've been taught to go through religion.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You got anything else for us, sister?
No, I'm just listening and enjoying the conversation.
Well, see, like yourself, you went back for an eyewitness account. So when the Mason talk about they got the secret, you got the secret. You went back there. You know, they're operating off of a ritual, say they got the secret. Okay, they can't tell you the secret. They don't know about Amenhotep, the son of Hapu. Okay, they can't tell you about Imhotep. They can't tell you about any of these places. They can't tell you about Ipidasut. You walk down the hypostyle hall. You walk down the great nave, okay, of Ipidasut, 179 feet high. You've seen the sacred places. You've been among these places. But the only thing that the Mason can tell you about is Mount Moriah. You can't find Solomon's temple nowhere, okay? Only thing they can show you is a sketch, okay? There are no sketches in Kemet. You saw it. These were real temples, the great monuments that predate the Western world, the greatest temples on the planet Earth, nothing that can predate it. It's right there. So it's saying...
And they can't even... Right, and they can't. They still trying to figure out how they were built.
Exactly,
it's impossible.
That's right. You see, so again, we shouldn't let anyone who's caught up into Masonry tell us that they got the secret. And if they did have the secret, then that should be the secret of liberation. Okay, not hiding something. Okay, and stopping us from being liberated as an African people. And you know, we got to question some of these rituals that they're doing. You know, are they part of the MPP? Okay, you know, and the MPP is the triple oath taker Masons. And what I mean by the MPP, those are the Mason Pastor Police. Okay, they took a triple oath to white supremacy. So again, they're not going to look to Africa with a triple oath taker for white supremacy. When are we going to take an oath, an African oath, okay, that we would give our life and even take a life, okay, if someone tries to stop us from telling our story? When are we going to take that African oath? Or are we still going to be caught up in the lodge, okay, or like these Europeans who actually have their blood oath, where they in the skull and crossbones, where they actually take a human skull and drink wine symbolic for blood, okay, that they would not give up the secret, and that is the African ancestral secret. And one of those rituals that they have, okay, in the skull and crossbones, okay, goes back to drinking from Geronimo, okay. His skull. So this is meaning to take the sacred knowledge of the people that you have conquered. This is the ritual of the blood oath.
I just have one quick question, because I observed that there are white Mason groups and then there are black Mason groups.
Well, the black Mason group is a caboose. In fact, the white Masons have never recognized the black Masonic. They call them illegal. So, in the Masonic jurisdiction, okay, of the Masonic order, they say the black Masons are illegal, okay. Now, we know Prince Hall. Now, I give respect to Prince Hall, who actually called the lodge the African Lodge. I mean, that's originally, the original name for the black lodge was the African Lodge. So I'm sure Prince Hall knew by saying African Lodge, that was a sign, that was a code for us to go back and deal with the African knowledge, all right? But Negro Masons got frightened, okay, of the whole African movement at that time, okay, in the 1700s, okay, when whites started to attack the ethnicity of African people, okay, and where at that time institutions and schools and churches and ministers were talking about a black God. I mean, that was true liberation going on back then, okay? So all the institutions were relating to our ethnicity, and the fear of seeing our ethnicity to white supremacy at this time, that would be liberation. So this is where Negroes got frightened, okay, of Africa. It was like the communism of its day, kind of like the African-centered movement is today, okay, by them calling it multiculturalism. But going back to what I was saying, this is where they got frightened and took off the African Lodge and called it the Prince Hall Lodge, all right? Prince Hall never called the lodge Prince Hall Lodge. He called it the African Lodge. And they need to put African Lodge back up there on the lodge so Africans can look to Africa and not look to Asia and not look to Europe. And that's all we have been looking at, is through Europe or through Asia. Asia with the raising of Solomon raising Hiram Abiff in the 8th degree, and then with the Masonic Lodge with the 1717 Tea House in England, or George Washington here in America.
Let me do this. Sister, did you get that answer?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
I know we go from one thing and I go on into another something else.
No, that's good. The people enjoying this, Bob. We have a person right now that Skyped us from London. It's 1:30 in the morning in London, and they said they cannot turn it off. They're not going to sleep till this is done. So you got them, brother.
Okay, brother. With knowledge is power.
Yes, sir.
So we can even take where it says, seek and you shall find. And once you find that truth, know that truth will set you free. So that's what we're trying to do, set ourselves free. But above all, we got to set ourselves free with African knowledge.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
7169, you live with the master teacher on War on the Horizon.
Bibi Fahoye, Baba Kwesi, and Brother Irritated Genie. Just listening, we will be there on Saturday to see the great lecture. But other than that, continue on with a great show.
Thank you, brother. Mm-hmm.
All right. That's Baba Ngozi. That's
Brother Ngozi. Yes. Another warrior. Yes, all the warriors are calling in.
That's right.
My brother has made it back to the Tanetta land with us. He made it back to the holy places as well, from, quite a few times. Him and his Netter Hemp, in fact.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was her right
His whole family. I mean, that's a beautiful thing when you see an African family go back to Africa. I mean, that is wonderful. That's the sad thing when you go back to Africa and you see these Europeans and you see them coming back there with their children. See, they teach them white supremacy, okay? They take them, all over the world, So we've got to get off of the new plantation of today. We think we're living in the safest place by living in America, okay? When you got the biggest crimes of the world happens right here. So I honor an African family that can, return back to Africa and bring their whole family back and sacrifice, okay, to bringing the whole family back. That's power right there. I mean, the seed that is planted in our children, and when we do something like that, that is something that will pass down for generations after generations.
Beautiful. All right, brother. Well, we appreciate you,
my brother. Yes, sir. It's good to hear from the warriors.
Thank you.
All right. 3271, you live on War on the Horizon with the master teacher, Ashra Kwesi.
All right, peace and blessings, brother.
Yes.
Hotep, my name is Brother Batar Path One. I run Philadelphia Revolutionary Radio out here in Philadelphia. I've even talked to Brother Salah Student Study in Detroit, and also I've studied a lot of information under Dr. Ben. Dr. Henry Clark and Ashra Kwesi. So first of all, I'd like to give an honor, and it's my pleasure and honor to meet you, Brother Ashra Kwesi. It's an honor. I didn't even recognize your voice. And to the brother that's on the line, I want to thank you so much. You was mentioning about America. What should our people do in terms of a lot of our people that became comfortable with living in the Americas? What can our people do to lift Africa back up to a point where our people would feel there's a need to go back to the motherland. I mean, you understand that there's a need for us to go back to the origin. So what I'm saying, brother, is with this Kemetic knowledge, which I love it, do you feel that if enough of our people could afford the money to even go over there, or even if we found a way to have our people just go over there on trips, whatever way we could, do you feel that a lot of black people here in the Americas would eventually become comfortable in thinking about a serious idea about us really going back to Africa? I'm not talking about a fantasy. I'm talking about houses and living in the country and not being afraid of that country. Mm-hmm. What's your outlook on that, Brother Ashra Kwesi? And then I want to ask, and then I want to ask you.
Many brothers and sisters have gone back to Africa to live, okay, but just to go back to Africa, we've got to go back to Africa with our minds intact, okay, or we'll just be Negroes on the African continent. Okay, and in some cases...
is there any kind of way I can contact you, brother? Do you have a contact?
Yes.
I have a phone number. I want to give you my number.
Yes, sir. You can go to my website at kemetnu.com, KEMETNU.com, and then, all my information and contact is on there. And, but in reference to your question, again, when we think of going back to religions today, whether it be Judaism, Christianity, Islam, okay, one of the highest aspirations that one can have being a Muslim is returning back to Mecca. Okay, why do they return back to Mecca? Because that empowers them spiritually. Okay, the history, the religion, it empowers them. So one to make a Hajj, okay, back to Mecca. Sometimes people save for the rest of their life to go back to Saudi Arabia, okay, to Mecca, okay, to visit the Kaaba and do this Hajj. Okay, they sacrifice. Okay, people who are Christians, okay, they equally, sacrifice money to return back to Jerusalem. Some even prefer to go to Rome, okay, and those who may even want to go back to the Wailing Wall, who are Jews. So I'm saying all these people have these places, Africans have these places where they will sacrifice, okay, to go back to these places, okay, because of that whole religious belief that they have been indoctrinated with. And the whole African spirituality has been erased from the spiritual plate of African people, okay? And once we understand that without Africa, none of these religions would exist in the first place, and that's Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all right?
That's right.
So we've got to start to spiritually empower ourselves. Also, when we deify the Western world, we deify America, we deify the materialisms, we deify the cars that we get. I mean, keep in mind, the gross national product is picked up more by black folks than anybody else. Okay, we're the number one consumer, so anything that America puts out there, we find money to buy that, okay, because we've been taught to deify these things, okay, to pay $200-300 for shoes and go to concerts that cost $300 and everything else. We buy those laptops and everything else, okay, so, we hold up the pillars of white supremacy, okay, we support it. All right? We've been indoctrinated into it, okay, to support it. So we're still, in many cases, brothers and sisters, our ancestors on the plantation were more freer than we are today.
Wow. Definitely. Absolutely.
Right, so, so that's, just look around with black folks. Black folks, when they want to buy something from white supremacy, they make sure they buy it. But when it comes down to dealing with our own people, we're trying to support a liberation, we're like hyenas on each other, all right? So, even what we do, I don't work in the system. I knew that I had to be free to do what I'm doing, to keep my tongue free. I don't live, for America, okay? I live a humble life, okay? And you'll have Negroes on there, they don't talk about Mark Zuckerberg's multi-billion-dollar business in his Facebook, okay, but they'll find time, okay, to try to justify the bootlegging of tapes that we depend on the resources to continue to research. You can't research and think, okay, and do deep research when you have to think about paying bills and try to, we have to do the same thing that everybody else does, okay, in trying to maintain a survival in this white supremacy system outside of that job. Now, I worked on the job. I was a spook. And it's okay to be on the job as long as you're a spook, as long as you're putting something back for our people. But to be on that job and give them 100% of your time, and you don't give nothing for the time of black folks, and then come out to try to destroy black folks who are trying to do something, then you're an enemy. You're an agent to black folks. In fact, you're a hyena, okay, who will try to destroy any, and that's part of the slave mentality that was created on the plantation.
Now, let me stop you one quick second. Did he answer your question, my brother?
Oh, definitely. He definitely did, brother. Yes, he did.
Well, thank you for calling in, brother. We appreciate you, soldiers. Stay strong, and we'll see you on the battlefield.
All right, brother. Peace and blessings.
Yes, sir. Now let me do this, brother Kwesi. I do want to talk about this because it's near and dear to my heart, too. And I remember when I first met you, you used to talk about it, and because I wasn't, doing it, it didn't hit me the same way. But now I know the deep seething pain that this theft and criminality does to someone who's dedicating their lives to the race. Could you just talk about what it does to your spirit when people let you do all of this hard work and see the great work that you're doing, and instead of supporting you, they take it, steal it, and sell it to profit for themselves? Can you tell us how that makes you feel as a brother who's been doing this, dedicated your life to this work?
Well, peace be upon him. He's now a great ancestor now, and that's Steve Coakley, who sacrificed his life on many times on being out here. And he told me before he left, he said, "Brother Kwesi, watch out for the spirit killers. Don't let them kill your spirit." And this is what it does. It kills your spirit. Okay, to be out here to sacrifice the time. Keep in mind. And a white supremacy white boy can go and research, okay, for, white supremacy, Egyptology, National Geographic, and travel back to different places they want him to go. They give him $5-10 million, so he doesn't have to worry about a thing, okay, because they know that that's going to build power for them. Whereas we operate out of the hyena slave mentality, okay, to take and instead of looking at it, wait a minute, this brother or sister is working, trying to help the liberation of our people. We've got to make sure that we give, him or her the economic resources so they can keep doing what they're doing. That's the reason why African culture can't grow. Because of the slave mentality, we kill it by not respecting the people who have sacrificed their time. Keep in mind that when Dr. Clark, I remember when Dr. Clark went down to Atlanta and snatched all his at that time VHSs off the shelf and stepped on him. Here he had cataracts and couldn't get cataracts off his eyes because he didn't have the money. Okay, so I don't work in any university system. I'm not in their system. Okay, look at others. Ashaka Musa Bar Shango left us broke. Okay, that warrior scholar, okay, out there on the front line, Khalid Abdul Muhammad, left us broke. So again, we kill the very people who sacrificed the time and the resources, okay, to bring this forward. So again, on the front line myself, I'm 60 years old, okay. Is there a pension? No. Okay. Is there a retirement? No. Okay. At that time, being a warrior, okay, as a young man, when Dr. Ben said we need people to go back and do the field research, I didn't think about, how much money is it going to be? I'm not going to have no retirement. No. I sacrificed to do it, never knowing that I would have to deal with the hyenas and these agent kind of mentality to destroy those who are out here on the front line doing this. Yes, I had to go back and forth in my mind when I was in the system. Can I leave this job? Okay, can I support my family doing this? All those questions came to my mind. Okay, can I do this? And yes, it's been a struggle. And yes, I also have to say many brothers and sisters out there have helped us do what we do. But at the same time, there's been many who don't give a damn and who are out to destroy. That's why I say there are agents who are out to destroy what black folks are trying to do. When we start to see ourselves as a free people, then we say, hey, this person is doing something for us. Okay, he's not pimping the person in the name of God. Okay, some chitlin dribble juice at the pulpit. Okay, saying if you don't give up the money that you're going to burn in hell forever and ever. And we give billions of dollars to the church for that nonsense. Okay. But yet at the same time, I know everybody can't go back to Africa, but I have to buy the technology, the machines, to try to bring a person back to Africa by doing the field research, out there sweating, in the field, filming and so forth. And so brothers and sisters in the comfort of their home, they're not getting it from no National Geographic's point of view or Discovery. They're not going to discover nothing for them. But I can go there and do it myself and show them things that these documentaries will never show them, okay? And then some Negroes, not all, because many, like I said, many brothers and sisters are supporters, they say, oh, the video cost $30. Yeah. And not even think about the time that it took trying to make it studio level, doing the field work, not thinking about none of that, because we're still operating off of that slave mentality, Brother Genie.
And the ticket, they don't think about the ticket price to even fly to Africa to be able.
Right. We don't control the airlines. We don't control the hotel, that stuff over there. I fight every year with the operators, okay, and with Egypt Air to try to keep the price as low as possible. I said, we're not a one-time trip. We come every year. And some people say, well, you didn't get the brochures out until late November instead of late October, because I was fighting with them trying to keep the price as low as I possibly can so an average brother can make this journey and sister can make this journey. Mm. I don't even know that I'm almost full gray-headed now until I look at a picture.
Too busy doing the work for the people, my brother. Yes, sir.
Well, I've been on top of the mountaintop. Maybe that was the top of the Great Pyramid when I used to climb it back in the early 80s before they put fences around it and charging tickets to go see.
Oh, your eyes saw the glory of the coming of Amen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. I know that was a lot to talk about it, but, I'm just expressing, again, I've been with the great warrior scholars, sit with and lectured with Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark, and also Dr. Shaka Musabah Shango, and been with many, Brother Khala Abdul Muhammad, been with them, okay, felt their pain in some of the things that they talked about, okay. So, of course, as a younger man back at that time, I'm starting to thinking, am I going to end up like this? Is this going to be the same situation? And I do everything to make sure that, enough to eat, just buying just enough to get by so I can continue doing this and living on the edge doing it.
Well, Baba, we really appreciate it. And I don't know exactly how, but I do know we're going to figure out how we can stop the theft. Nobody should be able to steal.
Well, part of the African consciousness is that. You can't say that you're dealing with African consciousness and try to justify it, okay? Freedom and liberation starts with, okay, just like a battlefield, okay? We're on the battlefield. So when we're on the battlefield, you got to look at it from the holistic point of view. And if you're looking at it trying to rob the people who are trying to do this, then you're destroying the movement, okay? And that's the reason why when we look at, when people say, what happened to so-and-so? They're not putting anything out anymore because we destroyed it, okay? Haile Karima, I think he was trying to work on some things, okay, and made some documentary. You can't continue to produce if everybody's going to rob everything you do.
That's the truth. But do you mind if we go back to and we really appreciate that because it's real necessary because I hate to say this, but the nationalists and the race people suffer in silence. It's like we love the race so much, we never come out and tell people how angry and really almost venomous we get with the fact that people are trying to prevent us from saving our race by stealing from us. And somebody like you, far more than me, I mean, millions of dollars of your work over the course of the last 20 or 30 years have been filtered into the hands of people who are not doing anything for our race. And that means a lot to how much more you could do if you had those funds yourself. So thank you for sharing that with us. And that was sincere and it's real. And if you don't mind, I want to go back. We got a few more callers. I know they want to get in a few questions with you. Oh, you still there, Baba?
Yes, I'm still here, my brother.
Okay. Let me go to Brother Bookman. You here with the master teacher, Ashra Kwesi.
Black supremacy, brothers. Black supremacy, Elder.
Yes, sir.
My brother, how you feeling?
Doing well. I got a question within the question, and I have a third question for you. As it relates to the opening of the show with the Masons and how they use the Bible, in their ritual practices. And I was talking to some Christians, trying to break down prophecy and this and that to me a couple of days ago. And do you think that the Masons, because I believe every prophecy of every culture is fulfilled at one point or another time, at one point in time, or, everything is fulfilled one way or another throughout every religion. But at the end of the day, do you think that they're actually, because of the system of racism, white supremacy, that they're actually using their rituals in the Bible to manifest their prophecies based on those readings and their rituals?
Well, a lot of these rituals, okay, are corruptions, okay, as I said in the earlier part of the program, and the desecration of African spiritual stories as well as African spiritual rituals, okay, that we see in the Catholic Church and many of these things. So it's basically, we're dealing with a barbarian, okay, who knows nothing about spirituality, nothing about how our ancestors related to the high spiritual hierarchy of elemental forces through Mother Nature, to the terrestrial and celestial forces that they observed from the earth and what they observed through being astrophysicists and studying the stars and all these things. It was all one. The European has never seen nothing as one. They didn't see the oneness in anything. As I mentioned earlier, this is the reason why we have a problem not only dealing with African people, but now we have a problem dealing with the earth itself, okay? Dealing with the environment, okay, dealing with the destruction, okay, of the rainforest, dealing with the destruction of the air, the ecology, everything. This is the nature of the beast. It's nothing but destruction, everything that they put their hands on. This is what our ancestors taught through the spiritual system to find yourself one with the spiritual order, not trying to divide and conquer, which they have done.
All right, brother. Did he answer your question?
One more question. Can you go a little bit into what the 360s are? Because, I've heard that statement plenty of times. We have 360s. Yeah.
Okay, you're talking about the 666?
No, not the 666, just the 360 degree of knowledge.
You said 300. I thought you said 60. You're saying 360. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
360. Okay, again, they look at their order of 33 degrees. Okay, they never looked at it as 360. 33 degrees is just a few degrees above freezing. Okay, that's their highest order in the Masonic Lodge. Keep in mind that our ancestors referred to it as 360 degrees. And 360 degrees, that represented spiritual knowledge. This is where you became a son of light. Okay, a son of light meaning that you open up your spiritual eye. That eye was opened through a gland called the pineal gland, which is the seat of the soul. Now, what activates that pineal gland is the sunlight. In the daylight, you secrete serotonin from your pineal gland. At night, how you get dreams is melatonin. So here you see that laws of balance. African people, we actually pull in the sunlight because of melanin. So here's the spiritual power that we naturally have from the sun, that they have taught us that we are heathen sun worshipers. Okay? But here they reflect the sun, but at the same time they teach us to deify a Nordic climate where they come from through their holidays. I was in Nigeria and see black folks putting icicles on their house, okay, in their house. So even though they try to get out in the sun, all right, we naturally pull in the sun to activate the seat of the soul through the third eye, through the spiritual eye. This is what was meant by 360 degrees. 360 degrees of the living perpendicular. So on the gold shrine of King Tutankhamun, you see Ra activating his pineal gland, okay, the center of his forehead. And here he rose up. And as he rises up to 360 degrees of the living perpendicular. We find that right in the Bible. We find that if we know anything about some of the scriptures, that's what I said, until we understand our story, then we can't understand what the story is all about when we read those scriptures. That's why it says in Proverbs, I think it's chapter 15, verse 14, the fool believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. So when we understand, the African sacred knowledge of the Nile Valley, then we can get a truer understanding of what, some of these, I can't say all the scriptures, because some of you say, Kwesi said the Bible was the place to go. No, I'm saying some of these scriptures, okay? We can understand where these things came from. Like, for instance, when you talk about like Jacob, okay, I think it's in Genesis chapter 32, verse 30, and Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. That's the pineal gland, for I've seen God face to face, okay? And as he passed over pineal, it says the sun rose upon him and he holded upon his thigh. That's the same exact thing that you see on the gold shrine of King Tutankhamun. Ra is activating his pineal gland, and he raises up to 360 degrees. He halts upon his thigh. Now, how do you transmit that African mystery system, that African sacred knowledge, okay, into today, who's someone who's taught to defy, okay, the whole Western Christianity through a white Serapis Jesus? How do you transmit that? That's called spiritual enslavement. So through spiritual enslavement, you will never open up that third eye.
All right, my brother. Did that answer your question, my brother?
Yes, it did. Give thanks for the insight.
All right, brother. Well, we appreciate you. We definitely see you on the battlefield.
And these are some of the things that we're going to be dealing with when we come to the lecture. We're going to be dealing with some of the African mystery systems in the Bible that have been incorporated into some of their ideas. I mean, even when we refer to, even to this very day in the church, when they refer to Amen, that's the last word you say at the end of their prayers, having no idea this is an African god, Amen, that the Greeks took up out of Africa and incorporated into their Western version of white supremacy Christianity. And we have no idea that when we say Amen, that we're saying Amen in relationship to Kemet. And Amen represented the invisible spirit to all of us, the invisible spirit that permeates through all the universe, that is jet black. And now we see in the teachings of the African mystery system, now today, here we see astrophysicists are telling us about dark matter. And this dark matter permeates throughout all the universe. It's all around us. You can't see it. It's everything. It makes up the whole universe itself. Now, I know this is some deep spiritual knowledge, but we brought God down to a human form. So Amen is black matter, because Amen represented the invisible spirit that permeates throughout all the universe. Now, I know some of this may go over some of our head. That's why we have to have a visual documentation, because images shape our reality. Unfortunately, most of our reality is shaped by the tail live vision.
All right. We're going to go back to our phone line here. We at 9:05. You can hang on just a few more minutes with us, Baba, while we finish up.
Oh, yes. We got a few more minutes.
All right.
Sometimes it gets hot when it gets later.
Yes, sir. 9851. You live on the Horizon.
Hello. I enjoyed the program tonight, and I just have one question about these. I just recently graduated from college, from the HBCU. I'm realizing that essentially I'm going to pretty much basically have to start my education all over again, because it didn't really fulfill the purpose that I assumed that it would. And one of the reasons I believe so is this proliferation of these these Greek letter organizations, and I just wanted for clarification of the callers and myself, could you clarify what exactly a black Greek is? They seem to dominate just about everything, the churches, the schools, and that's one reason I believe they're not really functioning the way that they should be. They pretty much ruined just about everything. They was involved in the whole thing with Marcus Garvey. I mean, there's no telling how much stuff these people have had, their hands in. What exactly is a black Greek? I don't, just the terms black and Greek alone set off some red flags. On Christmas Day, I went to go visit Dr. Ben in the nursing home in New York.
Yes, I just saw him a couple weeks ago.
Okay, yeah, I went to go visit him. And, we were having a discussion. He said, a black Greek is a person with black skin, and they have a Greek mind. That's one of those right?
Right. What goes back to what I was saying earlier, the whole process of being a slave to the white supremacy academia, whether that be their Christianity, whether that be through their Western academia. I thought we had enough branding on the slave plantation. So literally, one is being a slave to the Greek system. Now, back in the early 1900s, when many of the white Greek fraternities did not allow blacks in the Greek fraternities, had we had consciousness of our Africanness and had consciousness of our African spirituality, the African mystery system, and some of the things that I have been talking about today, then we would have at least called it the Egyptian fraternity. That alone would have punched the Greeks right in the face, because Greece was not before Egypt. Egypt was before Greece by thousands of years. But because we want to be the caboose of whatever white folks do, we want to be in with white folks. That's what a slave does. Okay, it's like you train your dog. You have a pet dog. Okay, no matter, you feed that dog. So no matter what you do, you can't get rid of that dog. Okay, that dog is always going to want to be like you. He will take and fight his own kind, another dog, in defense of his human master. This is what has happened to the slave today. We still can't see our own reality. We still have circumscribed our circumference to think within a white supremacy, Christianity, or academia, diameter. That's how we see it. Because we have lost who we are as a people and don't think we are a people unless we are clinging on to white folks however we can, as much as they're trying to kick their leg and kick us off of them. This is sad. This is sad as it is. And to have full-grown black men to brand themselves,
right,
as Greeks, That's literally this plantation all over again. The only difference is that he has been brainwashed into worshiping and the deifying of white culture to the extent that the master don't have to brand him. He will do it himself now.
Well, I'm glad you made
why
that.
Mental slavery. That's why mental slavery, as Henry Highland Garnett told us, that's why mental slavery is worse than physical slavery. So we are bigger slaves now than we ever have been. Some of us, not all of us. Those who go through these types of rituals and on and on and on.
I'm glad we got that, clarification. A lot of young people that I've been talking to have been asking that, and I really, don't want to rain on anybody's parade by telling them that's not what you really want.
G.M. James, when he wrote his book, The Stolen Legacy, every black Greek fraternity, and black sorority should have that book as the number one book to read. When are we going to have an African fraternity for the liberation of African people? That's what I said. We hold up the pillars of white supremacy. White folks feel comfortable when they see where we are.
So thank you for making that, clarification. And I was listening to how you said, you're not a part of this system, getting paid those big bucks, and pretty much how I feel, especially coming out of school. Yeah, you may make some more money, but
sister, we can't look at education as coming through white academia. Education is a process and a journey that you are on, and that's the longest journey that you can take in your life, and that's the journey into yourself, not into white European institutions. That's a training centers, to train you to do a job for them. As I said in the beginning of this program, it's not a process to when you come in there and they say, we're going to educate you to free yourself so you don't have to depend on white supremacy. No, they're going to train you to do jobs for them. Because many of us, look how many PhDs and doctors and degree black folks we have, and then look at how many independent institutions and business we have. That could tell you it's a training institution because we don't think of being entrepreneurs for ourselves. We think of doing jobs for white folks that they have trained us to do. And that's the sad thing. So we're still going through, we're still going through the emancipation, and that final emancipation is the emancipation of our mind.
That's essentially why I'm starting, over,
and you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. And like I said before, some of us, I worked in the system, but, see yourself as a spook, to make sure that the economic resources that you get from the job, that you take a percentage of that economic resource and do something for our people. And doing it for our people, you're doing it for yourself as well. That's how I started. I started to make sure that I would do something, start to research and do, and it led into me doing what I'm doing today, and bringing it back to our people. But the system is designed for you to take that economic resource, to make sure you buy new cars, new houses, because it keeps you slave to that. That's what you're enslaved to, because that's what traps you. And they got you. Come on, I'm making $100,000 a year. I just got my degree. And we go out and buy that big house. They got you. You got to pay for it now.
I wish.
Now, sister, did he answer your question?
He answered the question perfectly. Thank you.
Then thank you, sister. Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. This young lady, just congratulations.
I know I kind of go on and on and on with it, but sometimes, some of these questions, it grabs me as well.
No. We just had people writing in saying this is grand. I mean, people are loving it, Baba. So you doing exactly what the people want. Because, see, this is the thing. A lot of our people have watched a bunch of your videos. Not that doesn't mean that they know everything. I'm just saying many of them are very familiar with you. So it's one thing to hear you come on and talk about things that they watch you do. It's another thing to then hear you apply that to the applicable reality of everyday life. And that's something they can't get nowhere else but here on One Horizon. So we want you to keep doing what you're doing.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you doing what you're doing, brother, and we keep doing what we all do, and we can be free. And like we were saying earlier, I got about 10 projects on the shelf, and hopefully I'll get enough support where I can sit down and concentrate and put that new stuff out one day before I make my transition out of here. That's a real reality. We deal with the reality of the physical and the spiritual. So.
Well, let me do this. I want to ask my Warren Horizon family. I want to be impressive, family. Now, I know people don't have $1 million out there, but I want y'all to do something for me because I want to be impressive to Baba. I don't want them to tell me no one person did it. I want everybody out there at the other side of my ear that can afford to do so. I want you to go up on kemetnu.com, KEMETNU.com, and buy at least one DVD so that you can support Baba and his wife, Sister Mary Ra, and the great work that they're doing, and also show that Warren Horizon, we don't just talk it, we actually spend our money with our brothers and sisters who are doing this work, and we are not like those Negroes out there that would still get all this good information and don't give back. So I'm asking the Warren Horizon family, I want them to get some orders tonight and tomorrow so that they can say, wow, people listen to Warren Horizon, and they'll support the great work and make this institution called Warren Horizon, this institution of higher learning, really means something. So go on out there and make those purchases. Get you something on there. Got a brother from England just now. He said, count on me. It's done. And that's all the way from London. So if they can go all the way from London and support, and I know that brother's word is bonded, I want you all to do that as well, brothers and sisters. So we're going to go to 2 more calls, and we're going to end the program. 3307, you live with the master teacher, Ashra Kwesi, on Warren Horizon.
Hi, I actually wasn't. I was just listening in, but I love what you're saying. I couldn't agree with you more.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We love you, sister. See you on the battlefield.
Same here.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's good to have the sisters. That's that balance. We have to realize that we can't be warriors without the warrior sisters.
That's right.
Matter of fact, Mary just produced a new DVD, The African Goddess, The Spiritual Foundation of Ancient Kemet. That's a powerful piece that we finished up a couple of weeks ago, in fact.
Well, listen, I'm ordering my, y'all hear that? Now, listen, you know the Irritated Genie got to get that because I was just, as we've been doing this program, Sister Nefertari, she made the advertisement for this weekend's program and was reminding me of all the stuff we got to do, and it's nothing like having the Queen right there supporting you when you're on the battlefield. So I'm ordering that DVD tonight. I'm getting, as soon as we get off, I'm getting that DVD because I want to see that one because that's a brand new one, hot off the shelf, and I want y'all brothers and sisters to get something as well. All right, we're going to go to our last phone call. Brother falling off the horse, but I guess he said he's not going to let himself fall all the way off the horse. It would have been a shame and a disgrace if we would have had this program. This brother wouldn't have found his way, stop doing whatever else he was doing and come to these airways and get an opportunity to talk live with the master teacher, Brother Body Shot.
Brother Body Shot. Brother Body Shot hit me with a body shot the other day with a DVD I watched. And I'm trying to still recover from that body shot. It's all about liberation. That's what I'm talking about. When we can be free as brothers and sisters, just think of the power that we can put out there. The freedom to think, the freedom to be free. Right now, I hate to make the analogy, but, we cannot be that bird in the bird cage and have a fear of a natural thing of flying. And Body Shot, all right, brother, don't hit me like you did with your DVD now. Just make it light now. I'm still trying to get over the last body shot.
I appreciate that, Baba. I just want to thank you for your work, you and the Queen. I actually had the chance to first sit under your feet. You did a lecture in Newport News on last year at the House of Conscience. And
House of Conscience.
Yeah.
Was that in Virginia?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, after you run around so much, brother, they just all becomes a blur after a while. Yeah, I remember now. I remember that one. You were there, huh?
Yes, I was there, but you were selling your DVDs, and
Okay.
I didn't want
to stay afloat.
stopped working, man. So that lecture right there changed my life completely. I was still bouncing in and out of the church, but when I seen that lecture, and I had brought my family down, I mean, it was just, like you said, the visual documentation was something that it caused a cognitive dissonance that you can never go back to Reverend Hambone and all of that foolishness with Serapis, Faggotitis Jesus.
Right. Now, brother, I need to let you know, Brother Kwesi, now, this brother was an up-and-coming rising star in the house of prayer, so you stole him from Daddy Grace, Baba.
Well, brother, we have to give thanks to the ancestors because without that, all those monuments and temples over there and years of researching to give the proof and show the comparative analysis as you see in the presentation, because it's designed that way to make people think. There's no way you can get away from that when you go back and do that comparative analysis and then present it to the people. And so, it's a great honor, brother, that, a warrior like yourself. Because, I mean, just think of all the black men out there who may be in the church and listening to Chitlin Dribble Juice, and the real warriors that they really are, that's lying dormant. In some cases, it never comes out because they were never exposed to who they really are. Wow. I mean, a black man, walk this passage called life and lose their life while they live. That's a bad way to go, brother.
Lose their life while they live.
Well, I just had a quick question. Well, in that lecture, the caveat, the one-liner that got me is when you showed on the temple writings where Ahmed spoke to the Sudan, and it was in red. And that's how the New Testament took that concept and had everything with Serapis in red. I was floored. I was like, wow.
The Bible when it's in when Jesus is talking, it's in red, and then that's on that's in the Valley of the Kings. Men Keparat to Hudi Mays III. Here he's talking to Amun. It's in the Medu Necher in his tomb, and when he's talking, it's written in black. But when Amun refers back to him, it's in red. This is where they get that idea in putting in the Bible, in the scriptures as they call it. When Jesus is referring back, it's always in red. Yeah, that's a mind. Yeah, that there is. When I show it, the actual thing to the people in the tomb, one sister almost passed out when I showed it to her in the actual tomb itself. And that's the power. That's the power of truth when you see it right there in your face. But keep in mind, this is us. This is African people. Always, Body Shot, one of the things I always say, we are a stolen people. So even if we looked at that we are a stolen people, nobody can deny that. Is that right?
That's right.
So then if that's the case, the question that we got to ask, what else has been stolen then? So here, so somebody kidnapped your family, and now they're going to try to tell you about something, and they kidnapped you, and now here we're listening to a thief, a kidnapper, a pedophile, a faggotitis, and everything else to go along with it. I mean, it's sad, and it's, this thing is contagious out here, brother. I mean, it's bad. So it's honor. It's always an honor to see a great warrior, when one has rose up to, that perpendicular with that Nissim Sioux, with that left leg forward to trample down white supremacy for us to go forward. So it's a great honor, brother, that if that slide did it for you, brother, I'm honored that I was there that day in the resurrection of a serious warrior who was always there.
And you done set him off, and now he's skipping past the regular crackers and skipping past the faggots and all that. He going right for the small hats, Baba. So you done ignite.
Oh, you're going for the jugular. You're going for the jugular. Yeah. Well, I would have never known it, brother. That's what I'm saying. There's that warrior spirit, brother. That it's like you were born with that, brother. That's naturally innate you. So that was just last year I did that lecture, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
So you mean that piece you did, this has been a year's transition?
Yes, sir.
A year of metamorphosis?
Yes, sir.
Man, wow, brother. Now, can you imagine, brother, that all the black men in America, if that happened in 1 year's time, where we be?
Brother, he was giving sloppy Jesus love 1 year, and then a year later, he's chopping down small hat trees.
Wait a minute, you were in the church. You were in the church. Were trying to go into the ministry.
I had already been to the cemetery, and I was already pastoring.
So you went to the hooping classes and everything? Wow, that's deep, brother.
Graduated cum laude.
Brother, well, it's a great honor, brother, that, hey, the spirit, you were meant to be there that day, because there's a great genius within you, brother, that is still yet to come out.
Wow. Well, look, brother, I will let you hang up our lines, and I'm sure you got other stuff you got to go do, but I got a sister coming on behind you, a queen, and I'm probably going to get beat up if I don't let her come on the line. So if you don't mind, brother, I'm going to
We don't want to take up all the time. We want to definitely make sure that the queens, the warrior queens, can go ahead and do their, put it out there too, because like we said, it's about the spirit of Ma'at. It's about the, the fourth, they call it the fourth degree, but we know that's the degree of Ma'at. It goes back to us. So
yes,
you got to let her come on.
All right.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
I don't want to belabor the hour, but before you get off the line, if it's not too much to ask, one of the most powerful prayers I ever heard was, "Oh, mighty ancestors, praise be your African name." Can I get a little bit of that before you get off the line? And then I'm
going to get to the ancestors. Oh, okay. Well, actually, back in the real quick.
What we're going to do, and I'm going to let you finish Baba Kwesi. What we'll do, we'll let Baba Kwesi take us off tonight instead of me with the oath to the ancestors. All right, brother? Is that good for you?
Oh, okay.
All right.
Great. Sound brother. Well, just very, very, very quick, just to give a quick history, back in the 70s, peace be upon Weusi, who was killed by the Gestapo beast, LAPD. And, of course, as a young brother at that time, I wanted to do, my revolutionary move. And the New African Republic took me up under their wing, and they used to do this oath, to the ancestors. I revised it a little bit. And from then on out, all the way to today, and especially going back to the sacred sites and temples, I say to the oath to the ancestors, because without the ancestors, we would not be. One day we're equally going to be ancestors as well. And so that's what the oath to the ancestors, where its origin and how I started saying the oath to the ancestors. And so I will close out with the oath to the ancestors.
Well, let me do this. I want to get this last call from the sister, and then we'll close out with the oath to the ancestors, which no better fitting way to end our program. So let me get this call real quick. Queen, how you doing?
Be behold black family, be behold brother, Baba Ashra Kwesi.
Sister Nefertari?
Yes, sir.
Hotep, Queen, how you doing?
Hotep, Baba.
How's the new life?
It's amazing.
Yes, it is amazing. Both of you have reincarnated yourself. You reincarnated yourself. You're here for eternity now.
Yes, sir. And I just had to call up. I was, busy cooking and trying to get the babies together. But I said I gotta call this line. So I just wanted to call up because I want to let the family know out there. Baba Kwesi is pretty much the reason I'm here today. And I say that I always like to call up when he's on the air and let people know this, because the power of the information that Baba and his queen put down is enough to change your entire life. It's enough to save your life, no matter what point you may be in at that time. And I just want to say, when I went on the trip in 2004, Black family, and this is Nefertari speaking to y'all, I had no intentions of being anybody's conscience. I couldn't even spell conscience. I don't know what conscience is. I was going to go see some pyramids. That's all. And me and my sisters went on this trip, and it forever changed each one of our lives. And so much so for me, I would never have met my king, Irritated Genie. I would never have two babies. We would never have two babies together, as Baba just said, being able to reincarnate ourselves. So the ancestors' work in very, very serious and powerful ways. And I just want to thank Baba for allowing me to come on that trip, providing that trip for us to be able to come on and get the information and literally change our lives. So if anybody out there is listening, if you can afford, first of all, you can't afford, it's not if you can afford it. You can afford to go on these trips. You just have to make your mind up to save your money little by little and set a date for when you're going to go and go. And I've been to Kemet as well as to Ethiopia with Baba and his queen, and I can't even put it into words other than to say that it definitely changed my whole life. So love you, Baba. Can't wait to see you this coming weekend. And Hotep.
Hotep, my sister Hotep, and Asante Santa very much. And Sister Nefertari, she's definitely in the Sut and Hemp. In the Sut and Hemp, she's definitely raised, into new life in the Sut and Tip. And that's the process that she went through in making that eternal journey into herself. And going into herself, that took her back as a Sut and Hemp. Mm-hmm. So, Ma'at, excuse me. Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, I love you, baby.
Divine Queen.
Love you too.
All right.
All right. Putting the Murray out there.
Yeah, got to put the Murray.
Got to put the Murray out there.
Yeah, I can't put too much Murray out there. I got two of them now. I got a whole little Murray. But
that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I mean, a revolution, an African family. That's revolution. That's where it starts at.
No doubt about it. Now that I think about it, Bob, I never thought about it like this. But I actually have to thank you for my actually for everything, because I wouldn't even have a family if it wasn't for you and the great work that you're doing. Because this is definitely the woman for me, and I wouldn't have had her if I wouldn't have met her there on your trip. So
well, I think Kemet does it for all of us, because Mary Ra and I met in Kemet on Dr. Ben's tour. He did our marriage ceremony right there at the very temple I asked for her.
That's beautiful.
So I mean, we got to go back to the original place to find where we're supposed to be at, and the Queen we're supposed to be at. Not going to find her in a nightclub in America.
No, it's not going to happen. Not if you want to keep her.
Right.
Well, what we want to do, Baba, normally I end and close the programs, but we're not going to do it that way tonight. We're going to end with our song, our spiritual anthem here, My God and My Gun. But before we do, we want you to first tell people again, and I want to tell everybody, go to KemetNu, KemetNU.com, and purchase at least one DVD from Baba Kwesi or Mama Kwesi tonight or tomorrow. Don't forget, I prefer you to do it tonight so they can see that we really do have some power within the War on the Horizon family to support our own. And then additionally, I want you to tell them anything you want to tell them about your website or how to reach you, Baba, and then take us out with the oath to the ancestors.
Santi Sana, brother. Again, you mentioned the KemetNu, KemetNu.com, and you have the tours, the DVDs, and all those things you can purchase there. Now, end it as we go to many of the sacred places inside the pyramids and sacred places and the temples, and doing the oath to the ancestors. In honoring the ancestors, we're honoring our eternal life. And so I'll say the oath to the ancestors, as I've done for many years now. And you can say it with me, as we do in many of the sacred places. O ancestors, blacker than the skies of Nut at midnight, pyramid builders and great ancient priests, warriors and mystic scientists, give us the inspiration to fight 1,000 lions. Give us the enlightenment to unravel the mysteries of the universe. Give us the sustenance to travel through the trackless swamps of disharmony. O ancestors, praise be your African names. May your spirits fly on the wings of Ra for eternal life. Amen. Ra. Hotep.
Hotep.
Hotep. Honored to be on War on the Horizon.
You gotta love it.
Yeah. Let's go. In this place to me seems like paradise, but life is a gamble like the roll of a paradise. Trying to get checks on the side like the pair of knives. My black skin is beautiful, you don't wear it right. Protected by my essence and protected by my weapon. My Bible is a rifle, my
Down my enemies, my knife is my song. God bless your soul, I got your life in my palm. No love for my enemies. God said you'll send to me knowledge of myself. You ain't my friend, so don't pretend to be. Turning your cheek with tyrannies and send to me my God and my gun. I walk with it, you'll begin to see the blessings received from fighting right supremacy. My ancestors' energy, I feel them in my energy. I still got crisis like rolling up with John Weaver. I already quit, I need to breathe when it's time to bleed. By any means you can dream to protect the scene, because my G.U.N. was given to me by my G.O.D. My holy bullet, leaving me holy footed to the grill. You be killed for minding your Tony bullet, your pale skin. Bullets what you up like well again. This white man is devil, I'ma send you to hell then. I'm working on my aim, no more thinking like a slave. With my God and my gun, I'ma put you in the grave. I rise like the sun with my God and my gun. I walk with them hand in hand like my God and my son. My God told me stand strong. Never told me to run my gun to my enemies. I rise like the sun with my God and my son. I walk with them hand in hand like my God and my son. My God told me stand strong. Never told me to run my gun to my enemies. I'm praying as I'm spraying automatic, never laying. Down to the tracker, I'm attacking all Caucasians. Bullets make me talk like a lot. All limbs are blazing, arm, leg, arm, head. Allah is the greatest, got no love for the same. Crackers and slave trading rapists. If you think I don't know the truth, you sadly mistaken. 600 AD, the Arab invasion of the African continent. Man in battle stations start the African jihad. The time to start chasing, yeah, you really gon' need God. AR's arm, aim and hand, the guard can't reach y'all. AR's hard changes, freedom fighters could never die. We all God's angels. I rise like the sun with my God and my gun. I walk with them hand in hand like my God and my son. My God told me stand strong. Never told me to run my gun to my enemies. Once we done, I rise like the sun with my God and my gun. I walk with them hand in hand like my God and my son. My God told me stand strong. Never told me to run my gun to my enemies. Once we done. Yeah. Yeah. They insured the ships, they paid for the whips, they funded the expeditions, they paid for the trips, and they talk about genocide, they funded our Holocaust, they screaming out Mazel Tov from throwing the Molotov. Hit you when you're nodding, now your yarmulke falling off. The Yahweh or the highway, yo, you're dead when the shots fall. When the shots hit your chest, hit a burn like a cardi dog. Return the stuff for Elisha, kill the white you and Hustler. Because you lack the mindset to deal with my people's proper. Now you gon' have to deal with this brief and shotgun, the slum lord. The moment you see me, you know you're done for. You even see my face on the TV, you better run for it. The evil people, unequal, claim to be the chosen people. The wrath of God come to see you. No respect for Israel, you criminals set the colony. You hate me because I'm speaking the truth. You try to stop